Over the course of 7 weeks, the strongest collegiate chess programs in the world competed for a chance to play in the CCL Championship.
But what is he doing? This cannot be real.
This is like some sort of Jedi mind trick, perhaps.
But now, the regular season is over, and the playoffs have arrived.
I do believe that we are the favorites.
Yeah, we don't tolerate any disrespect, so today we show that we are the best team.
Will St. Louis University three-peat? Will neighbor and national rival Webster University knock them off their throne? Or is there a dark horse lurking in the back-rank shadows?
What's it like to have ice in your veins?
Luckily we won. Yeah, I had no idea what I was playing.
Ultimately, there can only be one champion. The 2024 CCL Spring Finals start now.
Welcome everyone to the final day of the Collegiate Chess League spring season presented by SIG. I'm your host Anna Cramling, and today I am joined by the amazing Daniel Naroditsky. Danya, how are you doing? It's so good to have you here.
I'm great, Anna. I'm so excited. I feel like that guy who comes really late to the party when all of the guests are leaving and all of the guests have decided to stay. I don't get punished for it. I get rewarded, and I'm so excited to be commentating with you. Such an exciting occasion, and I can't wait to jump into these two amazing matches that we have today.
You're literally joining at the peak of the party because today we have two amazing matches. We're going to be starting with the third place match, which is Missouri versus UTRGV. And then after that, we're going to be having the championship match, the match that decides who is the winner of this season, the match we'll be waiting for, St. Louis versus Webster. Donnie, are you excited about these two matches? Have you been keeping up throughout the season?
Well, first of all, I watched your excellent broadcast with Joe yesterday, Anna, that set all of this up. Well done. And what I love about the CCL is that, yes, there's money, but there's also so much pride. I mean, these players, a lot of these international GMs and students, they want to represent where they're at. And look at that final. We'll talk about it later, but these colleges are pretty close, Anna. They're in the same state. They might even be in the same city. So I wouldn't put it past these players to have some sort of rivalry going on, maybe just a little bit. So many storylines to talk about. I think we're going to see the best chess from these players. They better show up today.
I definitely think we're going to be seeing the best chess. And I mean, Danya, you're a grandmaster. I mean, a super grandmaster pretty much by yourself. How nervous do you think these really strong players are today?
You know, I think they're pretty nervous. And I think what's making them more nervous is playing on camera. And I say this before every one of these tournaments. When you're playing in front of the computer and you know that there's a big commentary going on, you feel those butterflies in your stomach. It doesn't matter how many of these tournaments you've played in the past, doesn't matter how experienced you are. The finals of any tournament like this are going to get the players experiencing those butterflies in their stomach. We saw that impacting a lot of the games yesterday. Remember that time scramble between Gleb Dudin and Aram Hakobian, where Dudin had like a completely winning position, 5 seconds, and then he like blunders 6 moves in a row. That's nerves, right? That is nerves right there. Spending too much time, blundering pieces in positions where you would never normally blunder a piece. We're going to see a lot of that today. I can guarantee it.
Well, honestly, I get happy in a little way when I see these players blunder. It makes me feel like everybody's human, no matter how strong you are, no matter if you're an extremely strong grandmaster. And that actually also happened yesterday with Raja, for instance, I believe, who blundered a queen in one move in, well, a very decisive moment as well. So you're totally right, Danya. It is absolutely just a lot of nerves that are happening. And speaking of these teams, you were saying that they're very close to each other. Did you mention before that you just visited St. Louis?
Oh, I appreciate you segueing me into that. I am, and by the way, a huge shout out to you, Anna, and congratulations on great performance and amazing job recapping your games in Reykjavik. I think everybody really enjoyed that. And thank you for being available for commentary so soon after coming back. I think that's really admirable. And I did, in fact, visit St. Louis a few days ago. I played the American Cup Blitz tournament, which is the Blitz tournament that happens after the American Cup, believe it or not. I know, mind-boggling. And the participants of the American Cup played, as did all of the local GMs from all of the St. Louis universities surrounding the area, as well as the Mizzou students who are coached by Christian Chirilla. So it was a super fun event. I did really well. I'm really pumped. It was an over-the-board Blitz tournament with increment. And the atmosphere was incredible, Anna. And the atmosphere in the CCL is incredible as well with these prizes. But I'll be talking about my experience throughout the show, and I'll be talking about some of these players, a lot of whom I know personally.
That is amazing. I'm going to ask you so many questions. But yes, we got some big prize money going on today. The first and foremost, for the third place match, they are going to be fighting for $1,000. So the winner of that match will be getting $1,000. And then in the big championship match, they're going to be fighting for $5,000. So lots of prize money on the line, and they're definitely going to be giving it their very best because they know that if they win, they will win money and not just pride. Also, Danya, this is very exciting. I mean, we have the third place match coming up. There's the championship match later today. We have a lot of exciting chess for you, but we also want to know where all of you are watching from. So send us your photos, tag us on Twitter, tag us on Instagram, and use hashtag CCL Finals. You could be on today's broadcast. You can also tag me and Danya if you want to in your post. And I mean, Danya, we've been seeing players like playing this tournament from so many different places. We've seen them in cars, we've seen them in hotel rooms, we've seen them in beds, we've seen them everywhere. I wonder where the people are watching from. I wonder if there's any fun stories of where the viewers of this event are watching.
Oh, there definitely are. They're not all just sitting in their dorms. I mean, look at Robbie. That's not, I think that's actually Luka Budisavljevic there on the top right from his bed. And I tried doing that. I don't know how that's possible logistically, Anna, because I have a gaming computer because I need to stream on the road. And those computers, they overheat like crazy. If you put it on the bed, that bed is going to be 800 degrees in 5 seconds. So to each their own. But these GMs, these players are always traveling. They're going back and forth to St. Louis. So they're not always just sitting in their dorm. And it's just so fun to watch, as you said, all of their stories. And there's going to be more stories to be told in just about a couple of minutes because these matchups are pretty mouthwatering.
And speaking of, here we have the board assignment. So we are going to be starting with Missouri versus Texas Rio Grande. Danya, do you have any match that you're specifically excited to watch out of all of these?
Oh, I mean, all of them look fun. Obviously, let's be real. UTRGV is really outmatched in terms of rating, but they've got players who have proven themselves throughout the season. Ekin Ozanier, very, very good performance. Tianqi Wang actually is from Charlotte, so I've known him for several years. I'm rooting for him. Even though I'm not rooting for anybody, I'm commentating. But let's see if UTRGV can pull off a big upset. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun. And we've seen Missouri playing so well throughout the whole season. Antipov as well. It's been amazing watching his play, and he's pulled some big upsets. So we have the game starting. Let's go ahead and maybe we can start off by watching Oparin versus Tianqi Wang.
Absolutely. And Tianqi has the white pieces. This is typical Tianqi. He likes these 1c4 non-theoretical openings, and he knows these setups very well. Grigoriy Oparin responding with a double fianchetto. Okay.
Yes, and I was saying this to you before, Danya, but I am so excited that I have such a strong player with me here that, you know, understands exactly what the engine wants and exactly what the best plans are in this position. So I feel blessed to have a super grandmaster with me commentating. It's amazing.
I'm too flattered. I think I might disappoint you with a lot of blunders of my own, but no, I'm just really happy to be here. And yeah, the position kind of stabilizing there as we see board 2 to the right of that, starting off with a Blumenfeld gambit, which Mr. Antipov is kind of known to play. But let's watch this middle game unfold. I'm actually really curious how Oparin handles this very interesting pawn structure as we see some action on the queen side. I do like White's position here early on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm thinking here, what should Black take with? Because if Black takes with the rook, maybe we can go bishop c3, and maybe we want to play a5 as White. Could that be an idea to then try to just basically exchange over there and play on the b file instead? Or we're seeing knight b3 instead, maybe with a similar
Same idea.
idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a5 is going to be pre-moved in this position by Steve. And he does go by Steve as well. There we go, a5. And this is what I'm talking about. White's getting the party started on the queen side. Black needs to get moving on the other side of the board in the center on the king side, and that is exactly what Grigoriy Oparin does. Look at this position, so rich, lots of pawn action, and I think Tianqi should just move his knight back, maybe knight ft2. Maybe you can play d takes c4, but then Black could recapture with the bishop with tempo. Both sides playing really fast, though. leaving themselves enough time to figure this middle game out.
Wow, and he does take with the pawn, allowing bishop takes e4, and then if bishop d3, then you can probably take on f3, and then the king will just become very weak. So I suppose you might want to move the queen, but the question is, where do you move the queen? Do you move it to d2 maybe? In that case, it feels a little bit weird. Maybe d1, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and actually Oparin is taking longer than I expected here. He might be tempted by the move f takes e4 because that pawn could allow you to sort of clamp down on these two squares that I'm highlighting. That knight from d7 could come into e5. I could see Oparin getting tempted by that. The engine doesn't seem to like f takes e4, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit I don't know exactly what the big nefarious refutation is, but he's investing a lot of time figuring this recapture out. So I think f takes e4 might be absolutely on the table here for Oparin.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I mean, like you're saying, he spent over a minute now on this move, which is just a lot of time in these 5-minute games. So maybe we can keep letting him think a little bit, and we can move on to the next game. We have Ekin Osner versus Mikhail Antipov, and both of these players have been, I mean, big players this season. We've been seeing both of them being kind of heroes for their teams at a lot of different points. And Antipov, he's just been such a great performer this season. So I'm very excited to see what happens in that game. I don't know if you saw it, Danya, but there was one game where he played a4 and rook a3 in the opening. And I was just wondering what was going on. And I felt like this is just a thing Antipov can do. Nobody else could play this.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely typical Antipov. And once I figure out how to switch games, I'm going to do it. Just a moment.
Take your time. Take your time. We're seeing actually here in the meantime that bishop takes was played, queen d2, and then pawn takes c5 instead, leaving white with a passed pawn that could be a problem in the future perhaps for Oparin. However, right now it's very easy to block it, I think, with the rooks. So far, not really a problem, but definitely if there's a lot of exchanges, could be in the future.
Okay, I think I figured this out. And we're going to switch over to that Antipov game, which is a big kind of X factor for Mizzou. Antipov has to step up to the plate. He plays some very risky openings, and we see him playing that Blumenfeld gambit here. But it's turned out beautifully with that big center.
That center is literally the dream. I mean, when you're playing with white, you think you're going to get the initiative, you think you're going to get the center. But here, Antipov is playing with the black pieces, and he has the center of his dreams. So yeah, what is the gambit, by the way? Have you ever played that gambit? I actually haven't heard about it before.
Yeah, so the Blumenfeld gambit is named after Benjamin Blumenfeld. Sounds like a character out of some fictional novel or some science sci-fi movie. But he was a Soviet player. I don't think he was GM. He also has a line named after him in the Scotch, I think, where it's some obscure line. So he was a big fan of gambits. And it's so interesting, Anna, when a player who might not be known for their OTB achievements necessarily still get some openings named after them, which I think is awesome. And this knight on h4 might be named after Ozenir because g5 might be coming, and it won't be a very flattering name. That's why we see f4. Oh, no. This is a disaster.
Oh, no.
This is a nightmare.
What is happening? This looks... How do you even defend the pawn? If you go rook takes you cannot go rook takes f3. Then the knight, I mean, it's almost trapped. And also, I mean, d4 is coming with a lot of force. What is happening here? This must be completely...
White is lost.
Yeah.
No. Queen takes e3 and knight e4. It plays itself. d4 is also possible. And look.
What?
This too.
Okay.
This is fine.
So,
but why didn't he take the pawn first?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, because now, I mean, yes, it's obviously fine, but I mean, now maybe there's ways of defending the pawn. I guess you cannot go bishop c1 because there might be rook takes f3 and then queen e5. I don't know if there's something like that.
Ooh.
But, okay, queen d3 is played instead, defending the pawn. Yeah, I'm really curious about why he didn't take the pawn first, but he has so much time.
Yeah. But if he takes it now with the queen, I wouldn't go into that endgame because then white starts to show signs of life. If you don't knock white out immediately, the game starts to drag on, and that's exactly how you give your opponent chances. The best move, Anna, apparently, is queen to h6. And the reason for that is so interesting. I don't want to make too many moves on the board, but just really quickly, the reason is knight takes e3 runs into an incredible tactic. Queen takes h7, king takes h7, pick up the queen, and you also don't lose the exchange, Anna, because knight takes f1. Suddenly, black's rook is also hanging. I think Antipov missed that. And Ozenir, plays queen d3 precisely to set this up. If he didn't see that, he would have played queen to d2. So what a fascinating moment. And suddenly Antipov has to be pretty accurate to keep that winning advantage.
And now he's thinking. So now he's spending his time to think about this, probably regretting that he didn't take.
Oh, he's played it. He missed.
He did it.
But don't start with knight g5. Do not start with knight g5. And I'm really worried that Ozdemir might start with knight g5 and run into queen to h6, which will threaten checkmate on h2 and hit the knight. Queen h7 first is very important. Big moment. Big moment.
There's a very big moment. He's doing it. There it is.
Unreal.
Wow.
Unreal.
The game just turned around in a split second.
Wow. I'm also looking at the Budisavljevic game, which we'll have to go to next, which is crazy. But look at Ozdemir, down on time, completely lost position, and now he's back in the game. I still think I'm still pretty pessimistic about his chances practically, Anna, because I think Antipov can... Okay, he takes with his knight. White will take the rook as well. I think Antipov will play bishop takes h2 check and try to pick up the knight with check. What on earth is happening in this position?
Yeah. And then do you have, after bishop takes h2 and king h1, do you ever want to go knight g3 to try to take the bishop? Is there any tactics like that? Oh,
yeah, that's what we're missing, is like an endgame checkmating pattern.
Yeah, that is, but there is no endgame checkmating pattern, which is the sad part here. Wow.
What's he thinking about?
I don't know.
What's White thinking about, though?
He must take it, right?
Absolutely, and bishop takes h2 is what he was worried about. I think king h1, Anna, you picked this up immediately. I think you've got to do it, and he's done it. So accurate by Ozdemir, dodging all of the bullets, and he's got the best chances that he's had all game.
Yeah, and this all comes from the moment where he didn't go queen takes e3. The moment you said he should just do immediately. What is he thinking about? Go queen takes e3, knight g4. These moves play by themselves, you said. But then they didn't, and now we have this position.
Oh, Budisavljevic is also getting destroyed by Jean-Rodrigue Lemieux. While this game is stabilized, can I flip into that game really quickly?
Go ahead.
Bishop g4 was missed. Antipov is losing control of that game. But look at this board.
What on earth is happening here? Where's White's queen? White doesn't have a queen.
I've been looking for it. Is it on the king side? Is it on the queen side? Is my monitor glitching? I think White's down a queen, and White's also going to be down a bunch of these minor pieces, which are just in the meat grinder.
This is insane. And Luca is once again playing from his bed. We saw this in the semifinals yesterday. We were thinking, what is going on? Luca maybe just took a nap. He's waking up. He's playing already. But no, this is on purpose. He's playing from his bed again. And it doesn't seem to be working so well for him.
And he just castled queenside. I completely forgot about that move. But Sean's knight jumping into e2. And at an absolute minimum, Black can just pick up the knight on e5 and then start chomping on some of these queenside pawns. White is down to queen. No, this game is much more convincing than Antipov's advantage. I would play even queen b5 check and queen takes b2 or rook takes g2. I mean, choose your pick, basically.
Yeah, no, everything is amazing here. Rook takes d2. No, this game is going to be over at any second. I'm really curious to see how the queen was lost, to be honest. So maybe later we can check that out. But we also have one more game. We have Raja versus Gleb Durin. And we see actually that Gleb only has 27 seconds on the clock. So big time difference in that game.
Let's take a look. And Anna, you know this a lot better than me, but Gleb, I think, this is a storyline. I mean, he is a time pressure junkie, and that cost him yesterday. I mentioned his game against Aram. 28 seconds, he's got the advantage. I think he's got a really nice position with Black. Look at these knights on f4 and e5. Can he manage the complications down a minute on the clock? Can he equalize the time? That's the first step. And Raja, well, he hasn't moved since I flipped to the game.
No, and yeah, Raja, what we saw yesterday too, he was playing so well yesterday in the semifinals, but then at one point when he got low on time, he actually blundered a queen in one move. So I think both of these players, they felt the pressure of being low on time, and none of them want to be on low on time because, I mean, we both know it, Danya, it's so hard to play chess well when you're stressed by the clock. I know it better than you because you're an amazing bullet player, but yes. Okay, Rook. No, he hasn't made a move yet.
And I'm looking at the Ozdemir game as well. Maybe we can flip to that one really quickly. It's in a time scramble. Crazy endgame.
Let's do it.
Let's just look at this. And Ozdemir is actually better. And he's navigating the complications with 12 seconds on the clock. He's now up a pawn. The knight on d7 is x-rayed, so Antipov is not winning a piece here.
I am just in shock that he's been able to turn this game around. If someone would have told me that he might have a chance of winning this game, I would have told them that they are lying, that that's not true. But that's not the case. He definitely has. So yeah, Rook F2 does look scary, but I suppose after King E1, it's not as scary as it looks.
Yes, I'm just worried about a fork. When you have the knight in these types of situations, you've got the tactical edge in any time scramble because it's so easy to miss a fork, even if that's the only thing you're looking for. Speaking of forks, B4, such a sneaky move by Ozanir. I actually would take black here in a time scramble situation. I'm really worried that this king is going to get active, Anna. But look at Ozanir going after the A-pawn, completely fearless. He's saying, my king is safe. Don't worry about it. I've got things under control.
And now he's finally been able to make that B pawn a passed pawn. So he's going to be doing everything he can to push those pawns. But we see black is just not caring about taking it yet. Instead, he's just pushing the king to try to get some activity and try to put some pressure in the time scramble, pushing those G pawn.
And King F4 is a really bad move by Antipov, allowing White to gain a tempo, but he's trying another way. This could be a perpetual check. White's going to get that pawn to B7, though, and it's going to be protected by the rook. Rook to A4 is a huge threat right now. 1 second for Antipov. He's blundered it. Rook A4 wins. Rook A4 wins, and he's found it.
Wow. Wait, Rook B1 check.
Oh, King E2 and King D3. Oh my gosh,
D3.
is Antipov going to survive?
Wow. Check. Okay.
Bishop E4, maybe? Back to E6. White could get mated.
Check. Knight E3 check. Can you play it?
Rook takes B7. He's won the pawn. And this should now be a draw. 1 second for Antipov. Hitting the bishop.
Time. Just want to take the pawn on G3. Now he can take it.
Duden is also in a time scramble. It's a draw.
It's a draw. Wow. He survived.
Let's go to the Duden game. Let's go to the Duden game because Gleb Duden is navigating the time pressure and he's going to win.
Wow. It looked so scary with those knights, but it doesn't matter in this position because of the pawns, the extra pawns that he has. 2 extra pawns at this moment. Well, 1 now, but wow. And that A pawn just looks so strong.
And he's got the exchange, and White's pieces are all undefended. No, all you can do is threaten checkmate, but that's not going to help.
Rook D1 check, King F2. I mean, it looks like a checkmate is coming at any point, and now he trades queens, and there we have a resignation. Gleb Duden wins. Wow. These last few games, they just happened so quickly, I feel like.
Unreal. And Grigoriy Oparin, he played the smoothest game. He completely outplayed Steve Wang. We didn't miss too much there. So Grigoriy Oparin delivers the board 1 for Mizzou. Antipov versus Ozanir quickly ends in a draw. He didn't torture Rook versus Knight for too long. That's an easy draw for a title player. What a round. And Sean Rodrigue Lemieux just blowing Luka Budisavljevic off the board. He could be in bed. Didn't help him this round. Maybe it'll help him the next. And look at UTRGV, Anna. What a start.
It's such a good start. We were saying the UTRGV are the underdogs. Missouri throughout the whole season have been playing really well. And now UTRGV is saying, we don't care. We are here to win. We want to get that 3rd place. And so far, they're managing to show that. They're 1 point up, and Missouri needs to play better these next few rounds if they want to make a comeback.
Unreal. And I just can't get over Antipov versus Ozanir. What a comeback by Ozanir. He was even winning at one point toward that time scramble. His name is going to be mentioned again because some of these IMs are basically indistinguishable from GMs. I mean, Sean is a GM elect. So UTRGV, put some respect on their name because they've won the first round. They ain't going anywhere. They want that bronze.
No, they are not going anywhere. I'm so excited. I think this match actually has a lot of potential for being very close. And it even has maybe some overtime potential. So I think we're going to be seeing a very exciting match. Round 2 is about to start in any moment. And yeah, do you think we could see an overtime, Danya?
We absolutely. This is the kind of match where, I mean, unless we see a big blowout in one of the rounds, which is always possible, right? You never know. We absolutely could get, 1.5, 2.5, and then it could switch the next round. This definitely is likely to come down, at the very least, Anna, to the last match.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think it's going to be a nail-biter all the way through, and I'm so excited. I was going to say, I wonder what would happen if Luka didn't play from his bed. Because he didn't do so well yesterday. Now he lost the first round. I wonder if he's thinking, could it be the bed? Or if he's just feeling, no, you know what? I'm relaxed. It's working.
Listen, Anna, there were some weird fake news flying around that Luca was playing from a weird location. Let's just put all those rumors to bed right now.
I love that you were thinking about that one. That was a good one, Tanya. I typically don't laugh at these kind of jokes, but that one was good.
I appreciate it. Thank you for making me feel better about myself. Look at what are we seeing, like a Dubov Nepo situation in Oparin versus Ozanir? This is Jabava London with like 4 knights out of the gate. I've never seen that before.
And it's a completely symmetrical position that we're seeing right now. Both players are just copying each other.
And they're going to continue to do so, at the very least, until white plays bishop d3 or bishop b5. But bishop d3 could conceivably be met with bishop to d6.
Yeah, this is amazing. You typically don't see these sort of copying positions at this level. I feel like there's always the question, if I just copy what my opponent does, how long can it go for? And well, you mentioned 2 places where that could stop, but wow. So you're saying this is not played a lot, Tanya?
No, I mean, you see this exact position, but typically you don't see like knight f3 and knight c6 because black often tries to go c7, c5 in the Jabava London. And I think we're seeing why. Grigoriy Oparin says, well, listen, if you're going to put your knight on c6, I'm going to punish you with bishop b5. And just really quickly, if black continues to copy white, I think the issue with that, and maybe this is not such a big issue, but knight e5 looks really nasty. And if black plays knight e4, see, the issue is eventually you're going to run into the problem of a check. And knight takes d1, it's not letting me play it. Why is the king blinking like that? Is this a new Chess.com feature that I'm not aware of?
It's a glitch, Danya. It's a glitch. We should tell them to change it. Yeah.
Yeah, let me write up a report right now. That's completely unacceptable. It's not letting me take a free queen. Come on.
What are you doing, Chess.com? How are you not letting us take the queen? Very sad.
Knight d7 by Ozanir to get rid of the pin.
So what could the reason be for him playing this line?
I like that move. I mean, Oparin started the game with 1 dimensional. The big question for me is, where is Oparin going to castle? Is he going to go queenside and try to blast open the center with e4? Or is he going to play more positionally, castle kingside, and maybe try to ruin black's pawn structure with bishop takes knight?
I feel like Oparin throughout the season has played quite positionally. We haven't seen so much attacking chess from him. So I would guess maybe he's going to... Well, he's not castling anywhere yet. He's first going e4, and then he's going to make that decision. But I would guess he's going to castle kingside, but I would be very excited if he castled queenside.
Yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it with that B file now opened up and black has kind of the ready-made attack. On the other hand, this is a blitz game and you allow yourself many more risk. But the reason Ozanir is thinking is because there's this threat of e takes d5 and then knight takes d5 because black's king is pinned by the queen. And you really don't want to give up the center with pawn takes pawn. I don't know if there's much of a choice, though, for Ozanir.
No, that is what I'm thinking right now, too, because the bishop is under attack as well. So, yeah. Maybe he just has to take the pawn, but he is spending his time here to figure out if he can do anything else.
Yeah, and as he does that, perhaps we can take a little tour around the horn here and look at the other games. Yeah, this is a pretty stable advantage for Oparin. I think that he's pretty likely to take care of business in this game. Any other games, Anna, that you want to spotlight in the early going of this second match?
Well, maybe we can check out Luca versus Gleb Durin. We have game number 4 over there. Because I think this started as a Nimzo Indian, maybe. As an IMSO Indian, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but these are kind of similar positions that I've gone when I've played against an IMSO Indian. So let's see what we have here.
Looks like a pretty nice position, honestly, for Luca, because this pawn on a4 really wants to be 1 square back, right? If you could play a4, a3, it would be a completely normal kind of a Nimzo Queen's Gambit decline situation. With that bishop nicely entrenched on b4, I like black's position, but I think Luca is kind of sloppy here. What about queen b3? Now he's gone for the symmetrical structure, and white actually has a target. Not a big fan of Luca's decision to release the tension in the center. I feel like he's playing this very, very solidly. He doesn't really mind a draw.
No, we see Gleb Durin. Look at his little gesture. He's like, what is going on? Why did you take this knight? He seemed so confused after that move, but it feels so strange, doesn't it, to just take the knight out of nowhere? Or is it because he was too scared of the pressure on d5, would you say?
That's exactly right. And I think he's also fighting for the e4 square. So he's deciding which piece to put on e4 right now, like bishop e4, knight e4. We also could see him play kind of a neutral move like rook to e8. So I can see the logic behind it, but I really think that Luka could have squeezed an advantage out of that opening. He does play rook e8. Queen to b3 really comes to mind here. Coordinate the rooks and start targeting some of these weaker pawns. But Duden, very kind of Soviet school of chess, push the pawns, create the weaknesses. And I'm waiting for an opportunity to make this pun. And like seen Duden, no doubt about his results, but I can't quite figure out the particulars of that.
No, but I mean, I really like this move, a5. I think it's such a nice positional move, just really tying that b7 pawn forever to its place. And now in all in games, it feels like somehow white is going to be having a little bit of an advantage just because there's the target of e7. So I really like the way he's playing. I also think Gleb Duden kind of looks like a boss sitting in his leather chair. He looks so comfortable and it looks like such a great chair. And I've been wanting that chair ever since I saw him starting this season. He's always playing from that chair and I think it looks amazing. We're seeing now knight e4. The knight is centralizing, just like you mentioned. And yeah, we have the bishop here, but black has this kind of nice knight on e4. So we'll see what happens in this game. Do you maybe want to check out another game, Danya? We have on game number 2. Sean seems to be having a very nice position of attack versus Raja.
Absolutely. And you're right about the chair. I think Luka's kind of jealous of the sitting arrangements that Jan Christoph Duden has procured for himself. And it does look like a very nice position for the Canadian phenom, Jean-Rodrigue Lemieux. The first I heard of him, we played on Chess.com, but he scored 9 points out of 9 in a tournament he played in Charlotte, I want to say about a year ago. And ever since then, he's been on the upward trajectory. He defeated Ivanchuk in a tournament pretty recently. He is the Grandmaster-elect. And he is a huge asset for UTRGV as he doubles his rooks here, starts putting pressure on Harshit's pawn. But Harshit says, what pawn? I've gotten rid of it. And the center opens up. Who does that favor, Anna?
I am feeling like black, the moment we turned in here, we kind of jinxed it. It looked like white has a great position of attack, bringing up the rook and everything. But now this is just completely turned around. I mean, it looks like Raja has been able to activate his pieces, gotten rid of his very weak pawn on e6 that you were mentioning. I'm looking sometimes if there could be any sort of ideas with pushing d4, trying to open up this bishop. Obviously, maybe not now, but at some point, the bishop on b7 has a lot of potential. I like the bishop on f6 too. And I just don't really like white's pieces. I feel like the bishop on b2 and the bishop on c2 and rook on c1 look a little bit clumsy right now somehow.
Yeah, they're all clumped up like this. And white's bishops were the ones that were supposed to have the potential. Black's bishops are supposed to be the crappy ones. Instead, Anna, I think you called it. I mean, d4 is a huge possibility. Rook f to e8 is an excellent move if you're threatening the back rank mate. And white's bishops, they're hiding out in a cave somewhere while the action is taking place elsewhere. Rook f e8 is a huge problem here for white, with black's rooks fully controlling essentially the only important open file. Same concept, queen e6. Good move by Harshit. His time situation worries me a tiny bit, but I think he's got things under control now.
No, I think so too. And Raja, we've said it in the past. I mean, sometimes he's had amazing weeks. Sometimes he hasn't performed so well, but he's definitely a player that has the potential of beating almost anybody over here. So Raja's a fantastic player. Is his plan to play at some point? Is it to both be able to play now rook e8, but then also maybe to play queen g4 at some point and try to add a little bit of extra pressure? Or is queen g4 always going to be very scary due to rook g3 and then the g6 pawn can become a weakness?
I think that's a great insight. Under the right circumstances, absolutely involve the queen onto the king side. Also, I should mention that d4 could easily be accidentally played prematurely. Like if you play it here, a lot of people might be like, okay, let's get that bishop involved. But white would play c takes d4 and attack the rook. Part of the reason why Harshit just moved his rook out of the way, but be very careful. Now that rook on e2 is very loose. There's tactics with rook takes f6. And that's why I mentioned his time situation. Harshit just has to keep his composure here, make sure that he doesn't blunder anything in one move. I think rook to e8 here, just really making sure the heavy pieces defend each other would be a wise step in this position.
No, I totally agree. I want to see rook e8. He's spending a lot of time. I mean, he's getting under a minute. Soon, this is going to be a time scramble for him. Yeah. And we know that anything can happen with little time, unless you're called Daniel Naroditsky and you're amazing as well.
I really appreciate it.
He plays d4.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to have more fireworks in this game. Okay,
Wow.
so takes the rook. Black will take white's rook, Anna. And if white recaptures, black recaptures the bishop. So like the direct captures are fine for black. Maybe Sean can play rook f3 to g3 and just try to keep the tension given black's time advantage, white's time advantage. That's kind of what I would do instinctively, but he's got to calculate.
Yeah, keeping the pressure, making sure that there's not too many traits and making life harder for Raja. I totally agree. So after rook g3, do you want to go rook e8 then, just to move the rook? Would you say?
Yeah, I think rook e8 and, black's bishops are now incredibly active. I love the way that Harshit is handling the tension. By the way, we do have a time scramble. Well, no, it's not as interesting. In Oparin versus Ozenir, they just traded their queens. And sort of an endgame time scramble. I'm keeping an eye on that game, and we can flip to it in like 30 seconds or so. What do you see, Anna?
Antipop versus Tianxi Wang. I mean, Wang, is he losing on time? No, he played a move at 0.2 seconds. Let's check out what's happening here. It looks like Antipop.
Oh, great timing.
Wow. And he just finishes the game. There it is.
Look at that.
He lost on time.
And he's lost his bishop on d4, and that is why he lost on time. He also got outplayed on the board. Great win for Antipov. Very quickly, very quickly, this is Oparin versus Ozenir. Grigoriy has 8 seconds, but a much better, well, not a much better, slightly better endgame with white. Let's watch this for a couple moments.
Yeah, let's watch this. We're seeing h4 now. h5 immediately stopping that pawn. The pawn on c4 is a little bit loose, and I suppose if white plays b3, the idea for black is to play maybe a4 and reply with that and try to put pressure on that a pawn at some point.
2 seconds. He's gotten his king up. Very easy to blunder when all you're focused on is executing the move. Okay, bishop b1. Wow.
Tricky move. a3, trying to create some weaknesses. Yeah.
Oh, is it bishop d3? Bishop d3, I think. Oh, I thought he had bishop d3. Still has it.
Still trying to get that beach pawn. Can he play it right now? I'm thinking.
He's missed it. That was a huge chance. Bishop d3, rook e1, rook takes b2, and now he doesn't have it anymore. But he still plays it, and now bishop takes c4.
Wow.
Ozenir is completely outplaying Oparin in this endgame. Bishop b7.
This was beautiful.
Traded, but it's still technical. Technique is required, and Oparin has good control over the d4 square. This is anybody's game.
And now he's trying to activate the rook. Maybe rook g5. Try to take that pawn at some point. e5.
Great call. Takes. Should be a draw.
Wow.
Maybe the king goes Oparin playing for a win here, but they're trading all the pieces. And okay, can black trade rooks? Yes, black can trade rooks, and it's going to be a draw.
So king
if Oparin goes the right way. If Oparin goes the right way, and he does.
There it is. Let's see. Wow, that's nice. You cannot go for the other pawn. You must make sure that the king cannot get out. And now he's trying to go for the other one, but this is a famous draw.
Oh. Tempo for tempo, Anna. That was like, Oparin got lucky there that he was one tempo in time. Barely saved Ozenir with another very impressive result.
Wow.
And Sean will give Mo the last game remaining.
There we have it. So Raja's been able to keep the tension. We saw how it was going before. They both have very little time. And what are we seeing? 2 extra pawns for black. Wow.
But he's lost one of them. And his time, Harshit's time, has been a problem throughout the game. Sean is the more experienced Blitz player. He plays a lot on Chess.com. I would try to get those pawns moving and try to create a passer on the king side. Instead, he harasses black's g6 pawn. This is very hard for Harshit to win, but he really needs to try to win to put the pressure on UTRGV and round up a very successful second match. Don't repeat.
No. Oh, he's not repeating. He's going up instead. So do you have to sacrifice the g6 pawn? Would you say, Danya?
Yeah, and if you sack it, but you trade bishops, you've got the better pass pawns. Bishop e3 loses a bishop to rook e7. That's why he goes bishop h4.
There it is. Are we going to see something like bishop e1? No, he's simply taking the pawn, allowing bishop takes f2 or rook takes f2.
So far, so good for black, but it's so easy to blunder. King f1 is a tricky move. Just a couple more accurate moves required by Raja, and he should win this game.
Aren't those 2 pass pawns so scary? At some point, you must start pushing them.
Oh, and also bishop d4. Trade the bishops.
Yeah,
and push
there
your
it
pawns.
is. Just push them. This should be a lot easier now. There it is. He's just pushing them. Yeah. Are we going to see a resignation soon? He's going to push the H pawn, I guess, but that B pawn is so fast.
Yeah, king c2 and the game is over. King
There
b1,
it
king
is.
a1. Yeah, it's over. h7, rook h1, and b1 queen.
Yeah, you have to stop the pawn. And if you do something like king g2, you can always stop it with rook a5 and then rook h5.
Yeah, I mean, 11 seconds now. Black is up on time.
If king
The game
h,
is over.
if black would have gone king a2 though, I mean, then it would have been harder to stop h7 after king g2 maybe.
But why is he not going? Yeah, king b3 and king a2. For some reason, he hid behind his pawn. But king a2 should win the game. He's making this a lot harder than it should be. Rook a7. And now a5, rook takes a5, rook h7 is still winning for black because it's a Lucina. Well, it's not even a Lucina position. White's king is in Nantucket. And black just goes rook c7 and king c2. And finally, it's over.
Now it's over. And there we have the resignation. And Raja gets that very important win for Missouri. Very important after that first round where they were losing by 1 point. But now they got that back. And not only that, they're leading the match now, Danya, by 1 point. Missouri is back in the game.
Yeah, huge game because this allowed them to jump out on top. They have erased the deficit that they had after the first match. And this is what good teams do, right? They don't go down 2.5, 1.5 and just say, oh, all right, bad start. I guess this is going to be an upset now. They stay resilient and they deliver, take care of business, even if your top player isn't having their best event. Great job by Ozdemir. He's holding his own, but his teammates really struggled this round.
They definitely did. But yeah, big shout out once again to Ozdemir holding his own against stronger players. He's such an important board for Texas Rio Grande. And here we can see also how many points everyone has scored. Oparin and Antipov right now scoring amazing points for Missouri. 1.5 out of 2. Danya, I know you hate this because, you're a commentator, but can I ask you what your prediction is after seeing these first 2 rounds? Who do you think is going to be the winner?
That's a fair question, Anna, and I think the next round, I'm going to not exactly answer the question because I never answer questions directly. The next matchup is going to be really big. I think if Missouri can keep their lead going into the final match, the final round, they're going to win. If Texas can go 2.5, 1.5, or 3-1, I think that they've got a great chance at the very least to force an overtime.
All right, we will see what happens. But first, don't miss Grigoriy Chess returning to your screen for the first time since 2019. This year boasts a superstar lineup, but no doubt the match we're most eagerly awaiting is Magnus Carlsen versus FIDE World Champion Ding Liren. The action begins March 26th, streaming on our Chess24 channels. Use !Grenke in chat for more. Which team will earn themselves the 3rd place prize money? We'll find out right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Three sisters smashed chess's greatest records, and it all started with an experiment. Their father, Laszlo Polgar, believed that anyone could be a genius, and he set out to prove it with his 3 daughters. At an early age, the eldest, Susan, showed an affinity for both chess and math, but her passion was at the chessboard. Susan became the best female chess player in the world by age 15. Their father nurtured his daughter's gift, and when it came time, he taught chess to both of Susan's sisters as well. Before they were even teenagers, Susan Sophia and Judith Polgar became world-renowned for their exceptional chess skill. At age 15, Judith Polgar became the youngest person to achieve a Grandmaster title, an incredible chess record which had been held by Bobby Fischer for 34 years. Judith quickly climbed the ranks in chess, mercilessly destroying Grandmaster opponents and gaining victories and accolades. She became the number 7 player in the world, reaching a peak rating of 2735 and defeated 11 world champions, including Garry Kasparov. At Rome in 1989, Sophia made history with an incredible 2900 rating performance, one of the best ever recorded to that date. She later decided to pursue other avenues than chess, but according to Laszlo, she had the most talent. These 3 sisters defied the norms at the time and became champions. To this day, they fight for equality in chess and continue to inspire the next generation.
I try to be the person to help kids learn chess and through chess to be more successful in life.
The Polgars left a legacy both on the board and in the world.
One pawn. 5 suspects. Bring your deductive skills to the chessboard this March and help solve the mystery. Was it the movie star, Tina Tempo? The heiress, Beatrice Bishop? The Green Pawn's coach, Remy Rook? Tournament organizer, Madame Mate, perhaps? or the arbiter, Professor Passon? Play them all, gather the clues, and find out who done it on Chess.com.
I'd classify trading as a game, really, that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the final day of the 2024 Collegiate Chess League Spring Season presented by SIG. Right now, you're watching Missouri versus UTRGV, but be sure to stick around. Coming up, we have the CCL Finals. We're going to be seeing St. Louis University take on Webster University, and someone will be crowned the Spring Season Champion. Daniel, what an exciting day we have, and very soon, we're going to be knowing who is getting the bronze medal of this championship. Will it be Missouri or will it be UTRGV? We will know in just a few minutes after these next few rounds. Have the first two rounds been as exciting as you thought they would be?
They definitely have been. I think the players have brought their A game. You can tell because there's a lot of pride on the line, especially for an underdog team like UTRGV. I think it would mean a lot to them to score a big upset, to get the bronze, but right now, it's just starting to get away from them. This is going to be the pivotal, unmissable round. UTRGV is down by 1. They need to step it up and score a couple of big wins in this third matchup.
And we're going to be having some very exciting games. We're going to be having Oparin versus Sean Rodrigo-Lemieux. I'm very excited to see what happens over there. We also have Antipov versus Gleb Durin, another really exciting match. Antipov has been one of the best playing players throughout the season. He's been having so many brilliancies, very high accuracy. So very exciting to see what Antipov is able to do. Also very exciting to see what Luca is able to do. I've been seeing people in the chats calling him the bad guy. How's it going for the bad guy? People are asking. Well, we're going to be seeing what happens over here. And then Raja versus Osner, another very exciting matchup, I think, this round. So we have the players getting started, getting ready, and Texas Rio Grande needs to get some wins because they are 1 point behind right now if they want to catch up to Missouri. So there we go. We have the game starting. Danya, what game do you want to start with?
We see Sean versus Grigoriy in a Moscow variation. Sicilian, pretty calm position as White opens up the center. And also a big X factor game is Luca versus Tianchi. Tianchi lost his first 2 games. And, he's the heavy underdog, but he is a very good Blitz player. And I think their success is predicated on him scoring at least one upset. And I think this is a good opportunity to try to do that. So we can go to that Oparin game as the other games are still just getting started, and we can chill there for a bit. Looks like Sean has gotten this very typical kind of Marozzi bind setup in the center.
Can I say, Danya, I hate playing against this. When I have the black pieces and they play the Marozzi bind like this, I don't like my position. It feels like you're so cramped. White playing c4, preventing black from playing d5 a lot of times. We see here a6. I don't know. I feel like this is very uncomfortable. But for players of this level, I'm sure they know the theory much better than I do.
I mean, I'll open you in on a secret. I also find this structure to be really annoying, and I always seem to get, like, you're not supposed to allow it in some cases, but I always end up allowing it. The sort of textbook idea for black is often to prepare b7, b5, but it's much easier said than done because, well, you can't play b5 now because it blunders a pawn. White just plays c takes b5. Now, sometimes you can sacrifice a pawn, but Grigoriy, you can see what he's doing. He's nibbling around the edges. He's leaving the center as it is and trying to set up some threats, soften White up a little bit. I think he might try to park his queen on g6, but a big downside of that is that we might see a rook lift by Sean. That bishop on b2, it's kind of hiding amongst the trees, but once the knights move out of the way, don't sleep on this bishop on b2. Bob the bishop is going to make its presence felt.
And that bishop on e7, that is also one of the problems that I always find with black. The bishop on e7, it's fine there. It needs to stay there to defend the d6 pawn. But is it very active? No, it's not really doing much right now.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues with this e6, d6 Scheveningen structure is that it's accompanied with a full-time babysitter. And the bishop, the babysitter, the bishop, wants to be doing other things. Okay, Sean getting his knight to g3, not really sure I get the vibe of that move because I'm not sure where the knight is going from there. The pawn on e6 is a very, very important pawn. Without it, black could resign immediately because White's knights would just massacre black in the center. Curious what Sean is up to on the king side here, but I'm not the biggest fan of what he's doing the last couple moves.
No, it feels like he's now trying to play on the king side, which does feel a bit strange. I'm wondering, the black queen, is the idea to play queen f4 and try to trade queens? Is that what he wants to do? Is that why he's playing this move that kind of limits the movement of the queen? Because the queen can't go to a lot of places from h4.
Yeah, and you're right to draw attention to that because he didn't have to go queen h4. He could have gone, for example, queen back to h5 and knight f6 back to d7. I think he is trying to set up some kingside action of his own. The babysitter on e7 might become an attacker, and the ideal square for the bishop is f4 because it's still defending the pawn, but it's also going to be contributing to the kingside attack. And I think Sean, his play is coming back to haunt him. It feels like he's starting to get outplayed a little bit, and that's why he brings his knight back to e2. He just says, let's bring some beef to the king side. Let's cover that f4 square so that the knight on g6 is kept at bay.
And black is just kind of rerouting his knights. But honestly, I'm happy to see what Oparin is doing. I might try to go for these kind of ideas myself when I play this. And yeah, f4 right now looks like a strong move, right? Threatening the knight and maybe preparing f5.
I really wonder what Grigoriy has in store against this move. He drops his knight back to c6. I think his idea is just to provoke as many weakening moves as possible. But f4 is not such a weakening move, Anna. It's not like White's collapsing on the king side. Nice stabilizing response, queen f3. And yeah, that was a bit of a weird decision by Oparin to allow f4 with tempo.
No, I'm definitely scared of f5 also being played at some point. Oh wow, rook d5 is a crazy idea.
No, it's not a threat.
But that was insane, Donnie. If that would have worked, that would have been beautiful. But yeah, no, I'm starting to get a little bit scared for black's queen as well on h4 and black's pieces in general. So we'll have to come back to see what happens in this game. We can maybe take a look at what is going on versus Gleb Dudin and Antipov.
Yeah.
Another very exciting game. We see actually Antipov with 2 minutes more on the clock. Very big time difference over here And how is the position looking? Once again, we have this weak d6 pawn, but no babysitter defending it. It's a baby knight defending the pawn right now.
Very good. I think, okay, black is up a pawn, but in return for that pawn, white also has control of the dark squares on the king side. Look at that bishop firmly entrenched on h6. This is not a game that Gleb Dudin can afford to lose. He's got the white pieces. He's their top seed. He really needs to step it up to the plate. But again, his time situation is already starting to make its presence felt. Rook A to C1 has just been played. I think he might be trying to set up some action on the queen to maybe B4, at some point C5. Of course, white will benefit if the center opens up because black's king at the present moment is a lot more uncomfortable. But as I say that, Anna, Antipov says, what was that, Mr. Commentator? Like, who's the one attacking the f2 pawn? Who's the one actually making the threats? He might be forcing this bishop to go all the way back to e3. And also that pawn on h4 should not be slept on. You might think it's a strength, but it's also a weakness, and it can be easily attacked by black's queen from d8.
Yeah, bishop e3, we might see queen d8 immediately. And then sometimes, maybe not right now, even an f4 push could happen. Obviously, the knight is hanging right now, but there we go. We have bishop e3. Oh, knight 5 is played. Wow. Immediately.
Why? Queen d8 was a superior move.
Yeah, you tell me, Danya. He played it very quickly. I mean, these kind of moves, I feel like at some point he's going to have to move the queen anyways, right? Because at b4 is a threat right now.
Well, and at some point, Gleb has to start rushing because minute 22, I think Antipov, and I played some Blitz with Misha at the after the American Cup Blitz. There was a really nice get-together. Yasser Sarawan was there. It was an amazing atmosphere. He plays really quickly over the board. This is not unusual for Antipov. He's not tilted or anything. He just plays very quickly, and he puts a lot of pressure on your clock. That's part of his strategy. And hey, the knight has been traded for the dark squared bishop. Black doesn't have to worry about the dark squared weaknesses anymore, but guess what? Now he's got to worry about some light square weaknesses in the center. Gleb could try to stick the bishop on d5 and ultimately put more pressure on this d6 pawn. I like what white's doing, but I don't want to be a broken record. I'm worried about his clock in the long run.
Now, I am worried about it too. We will have to come back to see how it goes. But right now, I think another person that needs to be worried is Luca. Because...
Yes. Whew.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. H5. Look at all of those pawns just marching. You said it before. Tianxi Wang needs a win. And if he's able to pull it off against Luca now, it's going to be huge for Texas Rio Grande. And it's looking amazing. Look at that king side.
Absolutely. Sorry for interrupting you, Anna. There, you're absolutely right to draw attention to this game. I mentioned that not Luca, but Tianxi with 0 out of 2. How far would a win take his team? Win with the black pieces, step it up, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. He is like 2 moves away from delivering checkmate to the white king. And Luca, I'm sorry, but his counterplay on the queen side is kind of pathetic, and it's not fast enough. If Tianxi can keep his composure and keep time on his clock, I think he's got checkmate in his pocket here. He just needs to be a little bit precise. We know how slippery a lot of these GMs are. I hate those slippery GMs. Don't you hate those slippery GMs?
So what is a slippery GM, Danya? What does that fully mean?
Just someone who you think you have the win in your pocket. And I experienced this personally against, Hikaru, Magnet. They all can do this. You think it's over. You think there's no way that they're going to survive. You're looking at the board and you're like, where's the mate? Where's my win? Like, how can there be no mate here? And maybe Steve should set it up with queen h6. But Luca's going to bring his queen to g2, and where is the crusher?
No, I agree with you. That has happened to me so many times. Where's the win? The time goes down. You all of a sudden are spending all your time on that. And then, wait a second, we're bringing in another piece. There we have it, knight g4. Do you have knight takes h2? Is that what you're seeing?
Oh my gosh. Apparently the winning move is knight takes h2, and a great call. And let's wait for Tianxi to make his move because he's got 30 seconds. He's calculating something. But there's a lot of false positives here. Bishop takes g3 doesn't actually work. Can he find knight takes h2 and then bishop takes g3 with a winning attack? 20 seconds. 20 seconds for Tianxi. He's got to move.
I feel like he's calculating it.
H3. Good move. Good move.
All right.
Good move.
All right. So now he's also threatening, I suppose, queen h6 and then bishop takes g3 coming in with almost a checkmate. There it is.
Bishop takes g3 is also a threat straight away, but after queen g2, queen h6, he will again be threatening knight takes h2 and then rook takes g3, simply pinning the queen and the king. So I don't really see much of a defense here for Luca. He's got to find a way to complicate the game. Maybe go e4 and just try to create as much chaos on the board as possible. That's your only hope when you're dead lost, but your opponent has almost no time.
20 seconds. No, you're absolutely right. But I feel like this is now much easier to play for Tianqing than it was before. There we see some c5. Can he not take on g? No, he has to take first on h2, of course. Yeah, knight takes h2 is the threat. I wonder what Luca is going to do here.
Oh, look, we have to go to Duden for a second. I have to flip on Duden versus Antipov because Duden had checkmate 3 moves ago and he's lost it all. Gleb Duden was completely winning. He had Antipov's king dead to rights, and he's messed it up. And look at Mikhail Antipov navigating with his king. He could even go king g3 here, and I think he's completely safe.
And Duden just looks so defeated right now. He doesn't understand how this could happen. Once again, the little time Antipov was able to pull that pressure. Wow, can we go back a few moves and see what happened?
Look at this position. He had this position. It's actually not that easy to find a winning move. Queen c3. There's some computer moves. Instead, he thinks he has Antipov checkmated. He sacks the bishop to set up this mate on g5, which he thinks is unstoppable. And it would be were it not for this defensive move, queen to d8. And after f3 check, king g3 or king h5, both moves are winning, but king g3 is the most accurate, and the king is completely unassailable on that square.
I find that beautiful. I mean, this is one of those positions where you just go, where's the checkmate? Where's the checkmate? But there is no checkmate. This is a slippery GM moment, Danya, just like you were mentioning before. You knew this was going to happen. Now I know the definition of it. And yeah, Antipov is thinking right now, he goes king g3, the most accurate move. And what can Gleb Duden do now if he plays something like queen b2 to threaten
Rook takes e3. Rook takes e3.
It's not.
And then he's got perpetual.
Wow.
But can he find all of the moves? After king takes h4, Antipov would have forced resignation. No, but Duden has 6 seconds. Rook to e5 maybe? Cut off the king?
Only 3 seconds.
F5. Oh, g4. Oh. White is winning, but he's not going to find it. He's got 1 second. 1 second.
Do a move. G3. Wow.
What is happening, Anna? Who's winning and why? F takes g3, queen d4 check apparently is the winning line. And rook takes e6, queen g4.
Wow, that is why he's winning, but he only has 3 seconds on the clock. He can tell. He has his hand on his face.
King h5. I think Antipov should go king h5. For my experience, when your opponent has 1 second, again, keep as much tension on the board as possible. And Duden, can he keep his composure? 15 seconds now for Mikhail. How did this turn around again? I can't believe what we're seeing.
He takes queen a5.
Queen f4. Oh! Mate on h6. Rook h6 mate.
He's winning. Wow. And
Gleb Duden has checkmated Mikhail Antipov.
What a turnaround. He could have gone king takes h4 and just won the game. But look at his face. Gleb Duden is in shock. That was beautiful.
And Antipov is furious. Antipov having defended that position, that impossible position. And now we've got to go to Luca's game. Luca's going to save the game.
He's going to somehow save the game. I don't know how he did it. Wow. He's a pawn down, but
how is this the same game, Anna? How is this the same game that we just saw? White was checkmated.
Last time we saw this, it was going to be a checkmate. I don't know. You tell me, Danya, how this happened, because I have no clue whatsoever. Okay, so king comes up, and the problem here, I suppose, is that the e-pawn can never push. So even though black has an extra pawn, you can't push your extra pawn.
And by the way, Grigoriy versus Sean ended in a very anticlimactic repetition of moves. Speaking of anticlimactic repetition of moves, so did this game, which means we're down to the last game. It's Harshit versus Boris Ekin Ozanir. The match is currently tied at 5 apiece. This is incredible. And this is now suddenly a huge game with White pressing for a win in the endgame. And e5. And the game is over.
Wow. e5, yes, because if you go bishop g8, then you have bishop g6, right? And you're going to force a trade of bishops. And that's everything you need.
Yeah, or bishop c4. Either way, it's totally winning. And the king is getting in and just boom, boom, boom. Turn the vacuum cleaner on.
Oh, he's trying to get a pass pawn, but there's nothing going on here.
Black is technically going to promote at the same time as well. Just b6, b7, b8, and checkmate the black king. Put him out of his misery.
Yeah, there it is. And then e7. Both
I think
pawns.
White's winning the pawn race. Anna, what do you think? Who's winning the pawn race?
I'm pretty sure
White's winning the
just
pawn race.
did. There it is. All right. White wins. Raja wins. Important win. Very important win for Missouri right now. And Missouri has taken the lead once again, 6.5 versus 5.5. But there is one round to go. Can Texas Rio Grande turn this around in the final round in this match? If they just get one more point, they will be tying and we'll be taking this to overtime. So we will see what happens. One round to go. Anything can happen here, Tanya. I'm so excited to see the final round.
The players must have eaten something weird during the break because this was an insane round. We saw Mikhail Antipov in a lost position turn it around with some incredible king play only to mess it all up, not just allowing a perpetual, but actually getting himself checkmated. Luka Budisavljevic saves an impossibly lost position against Tianqi Wang. And if that was round 3, what awaits us in this decisive final matchup? God only knows, but UTRGV, they need a little bit of luck, and they need each and every one of their players to bring their A game, bring their best game in the final round. This is what decides the bronze.
And now they're all getting ready. The games are about to start, and we are about to crown a bronze medal to someone. So we're going to see how they're looking right now. I mean, this must be insane, especially for Antipov. I'm seeing him right now in the camera. He's kind of looking to the side. It feels like he's kind of analyzing the game that just happened, like chess players do right after their game. And he's just wondering, how could it go so wrong? And that was just, wow, just an insane game. But at least Missouri is still leading, even after that loss.
And it's important for the team that's in the lead not to basically fall prey to the bystander, if I can say. My teammates got it. I can just take it easy. I've got, XYZ on my team. Each and every one of the players on Mizzou basically needs to say, I'm playing for a win. Let's crush this round. Let's not let this come down to a single game, because if this comes down to a single game, we know that anything can happen. It's Oparin versus Duden. Big matchup, GM versus GM. And for Mikhail Antipov, he has to push that round out of his mind. Again, one knight c3 by Oparin, and we might see a Jabava London.
So we're not seeing knight c6 yet, but we are seeing a Jabava London, although this time it looks a little bit more normal than what we saw before. We're probably going to be seeing some c5 at some point here, and not a knight to c6. So should we take a look into that game?
Yeah, let's jump in and take a closer look at this Jabava London. I've never played this opening, of course. It's not like I have any experience with it with White. Happy to see it get some attention on, a bigger stage. And Duden plays this very popular setup nowadays with a6 and h6. Black very quickly expanding on the queen side, Anna. And one of Black's ideas is to make it very difficult for White to push e4 at any moment, because even if you're able to push e4, Black always has b4 in response, kicking away the knight. So logistically, it's very hard to prepare e4, which is why you often see in these positions White putting a knight on e5 and try to play this more with the pieces than with the pawns.
And what about for Black? Does Black ever want to place a knight on e4 after something like knight d7 and try to reinforce the knight, or would you rather not do that?
You do see knight e5 sometimes met with the immediate knight e4. Black's main plan is to play c7, c5, oftentimes even on the next move, and say, well, White's not the only one who can expand on the queen side. I think the best thing for Oparin to do is go a3, queen e2, and really try to stubbornly prepare e4.
Yeah, and go for the big pawn break in the center. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm already seeing Antipov having a huge advantage just after a few moves, which
Absolutely.
I find quite insane, because he hasn't spent almost a single second. Look at that. Right. He has more than what he started with. So right when I tell you this, he maybe plays a bit of not the best move, but still, what a position we have here. So why is this better for White? Is it because that d5 pawn is quite weak for Black, or what would you say is the reason?
So I'd like to rewind one move first and just mention that in this position, a better way to approach this for Antipov, and this illustrates your point perfectly, Anna, is queen b3, which is a very natural move. I'm very surprised that he didn't play it. And why is this so bad for Black? Because if Black plays e6, he basically loses the bishop to g4, bishop e4, knight takes e4. It's two big things that Black is really suffering with. I'm going to get us back to the live board. The first thing is the weakness of the d5 pawn. The second, Anna, is just the flimsiness of black's position. There's a pin against this knight on d6. There is kind of a sense that all of your pieces are improperly placed. This bishop on g7 is bad. It's just, black's position is just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, now I must say, I didn't see the bishop on h2. It's kind of like this very typical bishop that's just hiding, but sniping down the whole board, and it's just so strong. And you shouldn't miss it, because if you miss it, it's going to do terrible things to you. So, yeah, very nice position right now for Antipov, but I wonder if that last loss is still lingering through his head right now.
Yeah, it still definitely is. But again, look at the time situation. Antipov has spent only 15 seconds. Sean is already digging deep into his time reserves, as he should, because if he makes a single mistake, the game is over. White is actually threatening to win the knight with c5. Black has to get this queen out of the way. I don't think you can get away with d takes c4. And as I say that, he plays it. I mean, knight takes c4, Anna. Rook takes c7 in that position is a threat. Ugh.
No, I think this looks so good for Antipov. And this also feels like the kind of position that Antipov thrives in. I feel like he loves these kind of tactical open positions where there's a lot of different things to think about, and he can just try to find the best continuation. So I think he's right now enjoying his time a lot and enjoying his position. We're seeing now a6. And I suppose, well, maybe you can you go bishop a4, b5, knight takes d6? Maybe you want to take on c6. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very partial to the bishop pair. So I think, yeah, knight takes d6 and even bishop c4 check. Very positional by Antipov. I mean, you don't need to win this game with a queen sacrifice. You can win this game by mounting long-term pressure on the d6 pawn. You could stick the light squared bishop on e6. How do you like that square? And then d5 is going to be a threat.
Wow.
Again, the problem is that black is collapsing on all sides of the board. Bishop e6.
Yeah, bishop e6 just looks so good. And look at that bishop on g7. I mean, don't tell me that's a bishop. It's almost a pawn at this point. Because if you play f5 to activate it, all of a sudden the bishop on g6 becomes quite bad too. Just the sad part.
I hate when that happens.
So yeah, we see now queen b3. And this is looking like a very comfortable position for Antipov. We can maybe take a look at how Luke is doing versus Akin Osen. Oh, this is beautiful.
Yes, get me out of. Let's get out of this game. This is a disaster. Let's go to Luka versus Ozenir, and this puts a lot more pressure on UTRGV. Sean will lose this game unless he gets a miracle going his way. That means as Ozenir cannot play this conservatively, he needs to try to win this game with white, and it's not looking like he's doing a very good job of that. Luka has a great position.
Great position. Feels like Ozenir's pieces are a little bit tied down right now. Okay, he decides to take the pawn, threatening the queen, which I suppose was a very important move. Maybe now it'll be a little bit less tied down, but that bishop on b7 feels like a menace. I would not want to play against that bishop.
Yeah, anytime you have a fianchetto, but no fianchettoed bishop on g2, that's kind of a bad sign. It really means you need to try to get your bishop to the long diagonal. So I think the problem isn't as much that white is much worse. White is slightly worse, but how are you going to win this game with, no pawns in the center and no weaknesses for black? He might be the wizard of Ozenir, but I don't think that he's really likely to pull off any wizardry here. And with Antipov very likely winning his game, all that you really need is 2 more draws. So Luka, I don't know if they're aware of their teammates' positions, but he should just play this solidly. If he gets a chance, great. He can win the match by winning the game. But this is looking really grim now suddenly for UTRGV.
I agree. It is looking very grim. A miracle needs to happen. We have seen these kind of miracles in the Collegiate Chess League. We've seen insane things happen. We've seen blunt queens in 1. We've seen, the Antipov game. We've seen everything. Checkmates, queens. But this position doesn't really seem like it's going to be getting that so far. We can maybe take a look at the final game we haven't seen yet, which is between Tianqi Wang and Harshit Raja. So let's see what is happening in this position.
Okay.
An a5 pawn that's passed, looking pretty good.
This is actually a very promising position for Tianqi. He's got that very nice knight on c4. Although bishop takes c4, do not recapture the rook. I've blundered like this many times. Queen, always be aware of the contact between pieces, particularly when a queen, enemy queen is making contact with a heavy piece of yours. That should always be noted. So it's a complicated position as Harshit gets his knight to c5, attacking b3. This could also turn around if Tianqi is not very careful to keep all of his queenside pawns under the watchful eye of his heavy pieces.
Yeah, because right now he's a pawn up, but that b3 pawn is going to be lost at some point. So what happens a lot of times, Danya, what happens to me is that I a lot of times end up losing both the b pawn and the a pawn, and then you have a problem here. So you can't lose both of them. But we're seeing now rook c1, and now I guess the idea is that if bishop takes knight, now you can capture it back with the rook, threatening the queen and trying to get that b4 push in, as the rook is not hanging anymore.
Great call, and you would just love to play the move knight to b6, but that's not possible, and that's why Harshit brought his rook to b8, although, funnily enough, the queen could also capture on b6, but he wanted to recapture with the rook. That's why Steve gets his queen out of the a file. He says, I'm okay with the queen trade, because once the queens are traded, Anna, I don't think you can take on a5 there. There's some complicated tactics that I'm not going to put on the board just because it's the last round. We'll try to stay present, but a lot to calculate here for Harshit. Can he take on b3 here? Can he take on d2 and then take on b3? Well, that's very scary because then that a pawn starts to become even more menacing. I don't know.
No, it's definitely a lot of things to think about, and I feel like that's why he's kind of leaning towards the screen, coming closer, calculating every line that's possible. And yeah, at some point you need to capture one of these pawns, otherwise white is just going to be a pawn up, a very comfortable pawn up. So at some point Roger's going to need to do that. So I just very quickly want to kind of go back to the Antipov game because now he's completely winning against Sean. Sean has 40 seconds on the clock, is shaking his head. He doesn't know what's happening. Wow. Rook e7.
It's going to be mate. Rook e7, rook takes h7 pre-move is just basically made into, this is the easiest tactic that Antipov is going to get all tournament. It's over, which means, what does that mean? That means Mizzou only needs one more point in order to pocket this match. And the game that worries me the most is that Ozdemir game, because I now feel that he is very close to losing that game. In fact, he has a completely lost position. He's down. No. He does have a completely lost position. He's collapsing. And
He's
no
collapsing.
time.
12 seconds, worst position. He must win. He cannot, or at least draw.
He's losing a piece.
Yeah.
He's losing a piece.
This might be the end. This might be the end of Texas Rio Grande. Wow.
Yeah, the knight moves. The other knight's going to be lost. Bishop h3, I think, has to be tried. No. Bishop takes g2, and queen takes d2. And bedtime Luca is going to put UTRGV to bed with just one more accurate move and 2 minutes on the clock. It's all over, ladies and gents.
He's bringing the bed to show everyone what's about to happen. Everyone is about to be put to bed. That is the reason he's been playing from his bed every single round. He wants to have that intimidation tactic. And honestly, I'd be terrified seeing Luca in his bed with this position.
Whoa.
Bishop c5. Okay, what's happening here?
Why did these guys do that? Like, take the knight and the game. Wait, but now queen takes d2. There's rook d1. Oh, but queen g5 maybe. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Why?
Yeah, queen takes d2, rook d1, queen g5. Because in this position, if you take, you lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
These complicated tactics that they do extra moves. So he's trying it, queen g5, and yeah, now there's also a threat of knight f4 check. So he's trying something.
Oh, great call, Anna.
Knight f4. Knight f4 check, winning the queen. There we go. There it is.
That's the game, set, match.
There it is, and it's over. Missouri has officially won this match at this point with this very important win by Luca. 8.5 points, that's everything that they needed. We have 2 more games to go to watch, but Missouri is getting that bronze medal. What is happening here?
And that's such a shame for UTRGV because Duden, if he plays bishop takes f3, and he does, is going to win his game. He defeats Oparin with the black pieces, which is a dream result. And it looks like Tianqi Wang is at the very least going to draw. So they had a shot, but unfortunately, Mizzou is just too strong and too consistent with their GM boards. I don't know if this game is going to end in a draw or not, but Tianqi has good winning chances here.
Imagine if Tianqi wins. I mean, it's going to be 8.5, 7.5. It would be so close, so incredibly close. And it has been this whole match. It's been very close. So big props to UTRGV as well for putting up such a big fight. And we're going to see if Tianqi can try to win this, even though he now played this move, rook b2.
Yeah, I mean, you're also playing for individual pride. The coaches of these universities are watching and seeing how the players are approaching. Are they taking this seriously? Are they treating this like the serious tournament that it is, or are they screwing around? So, yeah, you lost the match, but you still want to prove yourself and you still want to add to your individual performance, pad your stats, if you will. So Tianqi, can he get this bishop around to a4 and pick off its vis-a-vis? Harshit says, not so fast. And Tianqi says, yes, so fast.
Yes, so fast. Wow, he's just pushing that pawn, but this rook on b2, isn't it a little bit stuck? I mean, I would like to be able to play rook c1 or rook a1, but it's on b2. It feels a bit like a weird position for it.
Yep. And why is that an impasse? How do you make progress, Hannah? Because if you can't move the bishop, you drop your rook. If you play a7, you drop the pawn. And h takes g4. What is happening here? He gives up the bishop and tries to promote his a pawn, which is a very good move, practically speaking, but apparently there's a tactical flaw with this.
Rook takes, is taking the bishop, a7.
Oh my gosh, don't tell me.
Bishop d5?
d5 maybe? He goes rook a6 and...
Wow.
Bishop d5 and f4 is a mating net. f4 is a mating net.
f4 is going to just get that king to not be able to go to g3. Is he going to play it?
Or
no?
g5. G5 is also a mating net.
G5. Oh, that's beautiful. There's always these tactics. He's taking his time. There it is.
F4 mate.
Wow, you cannot take that pawn. This is beautiful. And that king is stuck. F3, sacrificing the pawn to get a bit of air for the king. You can take... do you take out the bishop? No, you play G5 first. Wow, because if king f2, rook f2. I mean, that king.
Oh, mate. Bishop takes f3. That is just so sick. And Harshit says, no, we're winning with room to spare.
That is beautiful. I mean, it looked like a great position, a great chance for Tianqi, but missed this tactical opportunity. And now, I mean, Raja and Missouri, they are winning by 2 points. So that is quite a nice performance by them. 3 points actually, 9.5, 6.5. But this could have been very different, Tanya. But this is a great performance by them, and what a match they've had.
And we congratulate the third place winner of the CCL, Mizzou. Well deserved, but hats off to UTRGV. Listen, they were outnumbered, they were outgunned, but they put up a fight, and they were in this match until the very end. Gleb Duden wins with black against Oparin. He set his teammates up for potentially turning this match around. Didn't work out for them, and that's all thanks to the incredible consistency shown by all of these players from Mizzou. All of them scored at least 50%.
Yeah, amazing match. Congrats once again to Mizzou for the third place, and big props to UTRGV as well for such an amazing match. Did you know the College Growth team has a podcast? That's right, 3 guys chatting about their favorite nerdy topic, revolutionary. Jokes aside, the College Chess Podcast is a great weekly listen with a new episode every Thursday. We sit down with special guests from all over the world, from college bowlers and chess players to top-level talent like Grandmaster Christian Krulila, and get you the story behind the stars. Use !pod in chat to catch the latest episode dropping this Thursday. St. Louis versus Webster in the championship match is coming right up. And you know who's excited? Phoebe Huida is excited, and we are too, Phoebe. Don't get anywhere, the title match is next, and keep on posting your pictures and tagging us. We'll see you very soon.
Do you want to add to your resume and earn up to $1,000 too? Chessable Research Awards are for you. Head to chessable.com/research_awards and apply today. The application is 10 questions long, and some questions are easy, like what is your name and what is your email address? Application questions also ask you to tell Chessable about a chess themed research
I was freaking out because I've never known how to pronounce her name. I realized, and I was like, oh, but I hope it was okay.
Past topics include scuba diving and chess,
more than okay,
and detecting chess cheaters. Applications are due by May 15th,
that makes me
and
happy.
winners will be announced on June 15th. If you win, you will work with a faculty member on your research, then submit a blog post about what you accomplished. So what are you waiting for? Start your application today.
Oh, awesome.
The 4th cycle of the Variants Community Series is the most explosive variant yet, Atomic Chess. where every capture on the board triggers a fatal explosion for the pieces around it.
Awesome. I'll
6 weekly
read through
arena
it. Thank you.
tournaments, held every Thursday, will be followed by a championship event with cash prizes, including a $1,000 first place prize. The third and final weekly arenas will be streamer arenas, featuring gifted subs as prizes. Win any of these events to qualify for the championship and show the world what you've got. Join the Variance Club today to learn more about upcoming events, how to participate, and much, much more. See you in the arena on Chess.com.
I am deeply offended by your porn eats porn rule. I think that sort of thing is cannibalism and must be stopped. Let's have a Zoom discussion about it.
And he includes the Zoom link. I love it. Can we open that now?
Oh
Is he there?
God.
That'd be great.
I love the tone of that. Like it's cannibalism. Let's have a Zoom discussion about it. Here's a link. Like that is so good.
I was sure that was going to be an en passant ticket. You know.
Yeah, I
right
thought
up
when it
until
started.
Cannibalism. Yeah.
I thought we were ready for en passant. He took us down a deep, dark world of cannibalism, and here we are. And by the way, I hope he's not waiting for us on Zoom.
I wasn't even swearing in a mean way. I'm Australian, it's how we talk.
Crikey, wallabies walking about. I'm actually with him on that. Have you ever talked to an Australian? They drop an F-bomb like literally every other word.
And I think, one of the things we've actually are working on now is that friend chats have a different filter. So that if you're playing a friend, you can actually engage in some fun trash talking. So that is something we realistically are looking at, because people deserve that experience if they want.
Sean McCoy bringing the knowledge. Didn't even know that was a feature. I love it.
Classified trading is a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the final day of the CCL spring season presented by SIG. SIG is a trading company, but what makes it unique is its gaming culture, with a particular emphasis on puzzles. Chess.com went behind the scenes to learn more about how SIG leverages puzzle solving as a way to sharpen their employees' problem-solving skills.
My name is Kelly Henry, and I work in recruiting at SIG. Our founders' love for the quantitative side of strategy games is still the foundation of our business, our culture, and our education today. We have board game nights, competitive chess teams, and puzzles placed all around the building. We have grandmasters, we have World Series bracelet holders, but we also have people who play games just for fun. I think one of the things that makes SIG really unique is that you can be a student and a teacher. There's always a game to learn, and there's always someone who wants to teach you.
I'm Michael Hines, and I'm a quant here at SIG. I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, and I got like this email from one of the recruiters at SIG about a brain teaser battle. The brain teaser battle was really fun. I also saw that this kind of puzzle culture was really integral in SIG and something that they cared about a lot, and was also really important to how they thought about problems, which I thought was really cool and made me want to pursue an internship at SIG.
We added escape rooms to our interview process as a way for us to see how candidates solve quantitative problems while working together collaboratively. It's important for us to see how people work together collaboratively on these challenging problems because it emulates the trading environment. It's what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis if they do end up joining SIG, no matter what role they're in. It's something that we found also gives the candidates an opportunity to feel what it would be like to actually work here.
And it goes like that.
I think the escape interview is indicative of all the puzzles we have to solve here. Not only because you're working together as a team, not only because you're leveraging the quantitative skills you need to be successful, but also because the open-endedness of trading and the open-endedness of financial markets suits itself reasonably well to the microcosm of the open-endedness of an escape room, but being able to sift out what has value, what does not have value. I think applies not only to traders, it applies to technologists, it applies to quantitative researchers trying to solve novel problems, it applies to everyone here at SIG.
Puzzles are obviously a big part here at SIG. I first came to SIG as an intern, and a lot of the trader education, but that's super game-centered. There's a lot of things about thinking about games and incomplete information that SIG believes is extremely correlated with how they think about the marketplace.
What would I say to a student who knows that they love puzzles but doesn't know what they want to do for a career? I would tell them to push themselves to try this. The similarities that exist between games, puzzles, and the work that we do here is clear. We know that the people at SIG who love puzzles, who love gaming, who love a fast-paced environment thrive here. It's an environment that doesn't suit everyone. But if you love winning, if you love competing, if you love solving complex problems, I think we have great problems for you to solve here.
This is Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. We are watching Valentina Gunina taking on Ju and June, the women's world champion at the 2023 World Blitz Championship in Uzbekistan. And the players starting off with a pretty conventional opening, a Queen's Gambit decline, and now a semi-Tarrasch as Ju and June brings her C-pawn up to the center. And a big exchange in the center. This is a very, very popular opening. Black takes on D4 and then takes on D5 and now gets an isolated queen pawn on D5. Okay, now the rook comes into D1, and now it's Gunina's turn to launch an offensive and chase the black pieces out of the center. Knight to E7. Ju and June has to oblige. And are there tactics? No. Back to home base goes the white queen. Bishop to D5, pinning the knight, forcing the weakening move. F3, Ju and June is playing an amazing game with only a couple of seconds on her clock. She's doing a terrific job of sort of keeping the status quo and continuing to induce weaknesses in white's position. But she is still down a queen, and white is still pressuring the king side. Bishop to A7. Gunina has plenty of time on her clock. Queen to D3 was another devilish move. It threatened 2 checkmates on H7, and actually there was a mate on D8 that was threatened, and so Ju and June has to make some luft, but G6 is a very weakening move in 4 seconds as that knight, it couldn't decide where to go. Knight to C6, knight to E4. Gunina brings her knight into the game. 2 seconds for Ju and June. Rook to D8, chasing the white queen away. Oh, but that's a pin. That rook on D1 is undefended. Oh, Gunina blundered that move. Gunina blundered rook to D8, and now the white queen has nowhere to go. She might have to sacrifice the queen back. Oh, but that endgame is going to be really bad news for white because while the e3 pawn is weak, the a2 pawn is weak, and that black rook on c4 can infiltrate down to c1 or to the side, down to a4. Gunina blundered rook to e8, and with only 3 seconds, the women's world champion was able to spot that the rook on d1 is undefended, and I don't see a different move for white. She might have to play queen takes rook, or maybe queen takes knight is a better version of that sacrifice. No, she's going to move back to f4. Gunina is going to keep her queen at all costs. Oh, with 2 seconds left, Ju and Jun just didn't have the time to capture white's rook on d1, and instead she went g5. She allowed a check. She allowed a trade. Oh, white's going to win. Queen d6 check. What a move. King g7. Another check on h5. That's forced mate. That's forced mate. Knight h5 is mate in 2. Knight h5 is mate in 2 moves, and she finds it. And Ju and Jun stops the clock and graciously extends her hand. She almost came all the way back down a queen, but just didn't quite have enough time to deliver the final blow. All credit to Valentina Gunina for keeping pressure on the board and on the clock. What a game.
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the CCL spring season presented by SIG. The wait is finally over. We have the championship match here. Webster versus St. Louis. Danya, how excited are you for this match?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we just watched an amazing third place match. Big congrats to Mizzou. This is where all the money is made. This is where gold medal is determined. We've got the St. Louis rivalry on full display. Honestly, I don't think we could possibly ask for a better finals matchup than this one.
And we can't really talk about these two teams without revisiting what Aram Hakobian said after Webster's week 1 win. I mean, you missed it, Danya, but he said, I think Mizzou is there. St. Louis University is also quite good. but I do believe that we are the favorites. So he put the standard up right there, right from the beginning, saying that he thought that they were going to win the whole season, and we're going to see if that is true or if it's not. So it's going to be really exciting to see.
It is indeed. And of course, both of these universities, they have a storied chess tradition. They've got so much pride. Webster, one of the oldest and strongest chess programs in university history. For many, many years now, they have dominated college chess, but SLU has emerged as a venerable contender. They've been so good in the CCL, and they want to make a name for themselves as the top dog in the city of St. Louis. Man, oh man, are we in for an exciting finals match.
And we're not just going to have an exciting finals match, but we also had a very exciting week 6, which was the first time they played against each other here. And we were watching this on broadcast. You missed it, unfortunately, Danya. But it was a very close match that time. St. Louis won only by 8.5, 7.5. So if they play like they did then, anybody could win today, Danya. That's what's so exciting about this final.
They've got so many streaky players too. I mean, each of these players, they could go 4 out of 4. You can go 0 out of 4 when you're facing a team as strong as Webster or SLU. We saw Grigoriy Cantor really struggling in that regular season match. He's playing again today, and he will have to step up his game if he wants to avoid a repeat of that result. But 4 GMs, Anna, honestly, 2 incredibly strong teams. This is going to be decided in large part by how the players handle their nerves and who is in good form today.
Absolutely. And one change that we're going to be having is that Webster is actually playing with Glidora on the first board. Okay. So Jacobian is actually going to be playing on board number 2, and Glidora is going to be playing on that first board, which we already saw yesterday in the semifinals. But speaking of the semifinals, Danya, I mean, both of these teams have taken a long trip to get all the way here. I mean, yesterday it was a little bit scary because SLU was actually in the beginning losing to Missouri 4.5, 3.5, and so it looked like Missouri could actually maybe even beat them, but at the end SLU was able to be the winners and finishing 9-7. And well, Webster did beat UTRGV as well, but they were tied 6-6 heading into the final round. So both of these teams had a crazy semifinals, but their consistency ended up making them get all the way here.
I mean, Webster is a university for whom losing is really not in the dictionary. It's definitely not in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and they searched the worldwide Webster, and losing is not there either. So again, I really want to emphasize the pride that these GMs, Anna, feel for their university. I mean, they're all hanging out at the St. Louis Chess Club. They're all friends. I don't think that there's any actual rivalry and, kind of a UC Berkeley Stanford situation where they're like going to each other's campuses and, spray painting the dorms. But on the chessboard, it's no holds barred, no prisoners taken. They want to win really bad.
Just like you're mentioning, this may be the first time St. Louis and Webster are meeting in a CCL final, but these two schools know each other very well. I mean, not only are they chess powerhouses, they're also next door neighbors. Both located in Missouri, they're separated by only 7.6 miles. And that, Danya, is a 15-minute car ride, a 47-minute bike ride, a 50-minute trip by public transportation, and if you're feeling ambitious, a 2-hour and 34-minute walk.
I definitely would not recommend the walk from personal experience. I've never done that walk, but they're close. And these players, they interact, as I said, in tournaments. They interact in events that are held by the St. Louis Chess Club, of course. And most of them just saw each other. All of them played in the American Cup Blitz. I was just there. I had the pleasure of hanging out with Benjamin Bok and Nico Theodoru. We went to dinner after the Blitz concluded. I played Robbie Kevlashvili in that Blitz tournament, but Surin Damasurin was there playing Fabiano Caruana in round 1. Correction, Anna, sorry, I meant Grigoriy Cantor is not playing today, just to be completely clear, but he is going to be very ably replaced by Yasser Seirawan Quezada Perez.
Wow. Yeah.
Just
I
kidding.
was like,
No Sarah one.
I was like, what? Danya, this is some information that I didn't get. Are we having Jazz or Sarah one over here? That'd be crazy. No, we don't. Here we have the board assignments. St. Louis and Webster. These are the teams. We saw yesterday Benjamin Grigoriy had a little bit of a tough match in the beginning. Then he was able to make a little bit more of a comeback. We'll see how he's doing today, if he's playing a bit better today and having some better results. But going to be very exciting. Very strong teams. I mean, St. Louis, they are the back-to-back winners. Such a strong team. We're seeing all of them getting ready over here, and this is literally, I feel like, the match of the century, Danya. Like, I am so excited for this. People have been talking about this all the way from the beginning, that it's going to be SLU versus Webster, and here it is, right in front of us.
And you can't even talk about a favorite. I mean, honestly, they're all so evenly matched as we get underway. And board one there, Yasser Quezada Perez versus Theodoro. By the way, there are two grandmasters named Yasser in the entire world, and they are both located in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, what are the odds of that? I mean, the mathematicians in chat, the statisticians and world champions, they can calculate the odds of that. But what are the odds of us getting a cool finals match? 100%. An accelerated dragon rolled out by Mr. Theodoro. You never know what to expect from him in the opening. He always brings exciting chess, that's for sure.
He definitely does, and he's been such a solid player for St. Louis all over the season. In fact, we've seen a little bit Theodoro, who's just made sure that the board one doesn't lose, and then Benjamin Bok has actually been the person that has, well, been pulling some of the most decisive wins for SLU throughout the season. So it's going to be very exciting to see what happens with Benjamin Bok as well. We'll be following that very soon, but we have this position right now, and I actually played this a little bit with Black, Danya, so I feel a little bit comfortable here for one of the first times, as all these openings have been, well, we've had a lot of different openings here.
Yeah, we've really gone around the map. I would say that I would be more likely to get this from the white side. And typically, yeah, white castle's king side. In the regular dragon, Anna, we see white castling queen side. In the accelerated dragon, it's a little bit more positional. Now, would you take the bishop here, or would you sort of keep this knight on a5 and avoid giving white that a file?
I feel like there's no need to take the bishop right now. There's nobody that's attacking our knight. The bishop cannot go anywhere. I mean, it's very different if white would play something like a3 or a4, because then the takes is very different, as they cannot capture with the a pawn, like you mentioned, and open up that file. So I think I would definitely wait. I don't want to take the right now. I think that that rook on a1 can become very strong. Maybe if the rook moves, that's when I would take, not now.
I agree. The one thing that I would be careful about, of course, is the possibility of the bishop sliding into d5. But even that, as I say that, bishop d5 is on the board. I mean, knight takes d5 and knight c4 is not out of the question. I'll just make some moves on the board here. After knight d5, ed5, I think is what Yasser is going for. But it's a double-edged sword, Anna. This pawn may look very nice. It's kind of controlling these light squares, but it's also like de facto isolated, because, I mean, you're not really getting the pawn to c4, and this is a very risky move by Mr. Perez.
And I feel like that is why they call you the prophet, because you always know what's about to happen, Danya. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And even sometimes bringing that knight to c4 could maybe be an idea for Black if that bishop disappears. So it is a risky move, but he played it quite fast. And we're seeing now Theodoro thinking about what to do. He does end up taking it. Pawn takes. This is exactly what we have on the board. Look at that. Bishop b7.
Ooh.
Wow. Knight c4. Can we see that now?
You called it, and I think apparently Yasser had to play the move b3 and keep this knight under lock and key. See, that even rhymes. Rook c8 is a great move. Definitely trying to get his knight to c4, maybe in some cases setting up this very textbook classic exchange sack on c3, but I wouldn't do that. I mean, what is the need? You have the bishop pair. You have lovely coordination between both of these fianchettoed bishops as they crisscross applesauce both sides of the board. I really like Nico's position, and Yasser kind of feels the urgency to create counterplay, but how is he going to add attackers to this pawn? Queen e2, well, that blunders the knight on d4.
Yeah, no, it feels like he cannot really do that right now. And the question is, where does the queen go? I mean, queen d2, you have knight c4 to connect the rooks, or you're going to go queen d3? I don't know. I think this looks very comfortable for Black, and I really like that you have rook c8, as now b3 is impossible due to the knight hanging. So it feels like Black has coordinated their pieces a lot better than White in this position so far. There we have
fun story. After the American Cup Blitz, and I think we should maybe switch to perhaps the Benjamin Bok game against Harsha Barakoti. And Harsha, very strong grandmaster, originally, of course, from India. I played him in the Blitz tournament in the second round. After the American Cup Blitz concluded, Nico, Benjamin, and I, as well as Sam Sevian, started to play over the board 2 seconds plus 1 second increment. So you start the game, with 3 seconds on your clock, and every move you make, there's a 1 second increment. And that was some of the most fun I've ever had playing OTB Blitz. Of course, it was like friendly. You have to literally play instantly the entire game because it takes you 1 second to execute your move. So building up more than 4 or 5 seconds is almost impossible. And let me tell you, Benjamin Bok may not have a reputation as like a speed demon, right? You don't really think of him as one of the best bullet players. Over the board, he is not just ridiculously good, but actually ridiculously fast. And don't sleep on Benjamin. That guy is a total beast.
Oh, trust me, Danya, we've realized that throughout the season. He's had some amazing wins. There was one time he won 4 games. I mean, 4 out of 4. He just went there, beat all GMs, and went out and did his job. And he's played so well. Beautiful chess, beautiful tactics. And it's just always exciting to see how that goes. But Danya, did anyone flag in that? Because I would feel like you would flag, but maybe you didn't.
All the time. We flagged. Okay. We flagged a lot, but not like every game. Like a lot of the games were decided on the board. But some of the games you zone out for half a second, literally, and you lose on time. So it's actually a great time control for non-official over-the-board play, because if you play that in an official tournament, pieces are flying, nothing's really getting adjusted on your own time. So it was fun. But I think Benjamin's position is also very fun. I think we saw a reverse Dutch, a birds opening by Harsha, and I think White's position kind of sucks, but I don't want to be too Harsha, so maybe he'll make this work.
Danya, you're amazing.
I'm back to making those puns. Sorry.
Why is he taking so long right now? Is it because he's deciding if he should go F5 or if he should take on E5, or why is he spending almost 2 minutes on this move?
You're exactly right, and I think F5 is a big candidate move. He was afraid of Benjamin pushing that pawn up to E4. Now, as he releases the tension in the center, he finally completes his development, does Harsha, and I think he should slide his queen up to F2 and then get his rook into the center, because this is a backward pawn on E2, and it's quite easy to attack it. Benjamin inviting the move knight to B5, and I think he's deliberately doing this to get Harsha to spend more time. Queen E6, a pretty provocative move, but Harsha is keeping his composure so far. His position smells, though. There's just something about White's position that's giving me bad vibes, especially when he's under a minute.
He is under a minute, and this feels like the kind of position where you have to think a lot. So I really like Benjamin Bok's practical play here, and I feel like that is one of the things that really shows the strengths of a strong player, that they know how to really put their opponents under pressure, and that is what he's doing right now. So 2 minutes up the clock. Great position. I want to ask you, though, how do you defend from knight b5? What would you say is the best way? Do you just play, because you cannot really move the A rook as the pawn on A7 is hanging. So maybe you move the queen? What do you think?
It's a good question. In some, rook F8, the problem is that knight b5 threatens like a family fork. There's your answer, queen d7. Benjamin taking the threat very seriously and setting a trap. Bishop to e5 here. Very tempting move. Oh, let's get the dark squared bishop off the board. Nope, knight g4, and you drop the pawn and drop the bishop. So Harsha with 39 seconds now and a bad knight on a3 that has no potential if it can't access b5, and a 30 seconds now, and he's blundered it.
He misses it.
I can't believe it. Why did I say that? I jinxed him.
You are the prophet, Daniel. Yes, that is incredible. Knight takes g4. The trick works. And Benjamin Bok doesn't just win a pawn, but now this g4 pawn is incredibly weak. And I guess he's trying to sort of something like king f2, rook h8, but that is just rook h1, sorry, but that is just way too slow, I feel like.
And his friend and teammate Nico Theodorou is winning against Yasser Quezada Perez, which puts tremendous pressure on Benjamin Gladura and Aram Hakobian to try to win their games to avoid a round one blowout. Can we quickly visit Hakobian's game? Because I think Benjamin is going to win this game. Aram Hakobian, big X factor. He's a streaky guy. But Robbie Kavlishvili is an incredibly strong and well-known at this point Blitz player. Groovy Kettle on Chess.com, usually over 3,000. But let me tell you what's not over 3,000, Anna. The rook on A1 and the bishop on B1. Their rating is more like 1,300.
1,300? You're being generous. Their rating is like 600 right now, I would say.
All the 1,300s in the chat are like, hey, now, Daniel.
There's a lot of 1,300s in chat, but yes. No, this looks like the rook on A1 and the bishop are just really bad. He's playing A5 to activate the rook. Try to get it very quickly to the king side. Something needs to be done because that bishop on B1, it's going to take a while to revive it. Going D4 is extremely hard because there's 2 pawns stopping it.
But you see, Anna, what I meant to say, I meant it as a compliment because once white plays rook A4 and once white plays D4, what I meant to say is all these 1,300s are one day going to be 2,300 once they get active. And the proof is in the pudding. The rook is already up to 2,000 and the bishop is soon to follow. That's exactly what I meant. How could you interpret this as anything other than a compliment? What do you think? Has it hit 1,000 yet?
I feel like the pawn on B2 is struggling to hit 1,000. He's right there. He's at 990 and trying to go for it, but he keeps losing the final game, I feel like. Soon, soon.
And the problem, Anna, is that if white plays queen to E2, which is very natural, if white plays rook to E2, he drops the bishop. Queen E2, black, I think, will trade and then put the rook up on B5. And that is what's giving Robbie pause because he doesn't want to lose that A pawn in an endgame. And I think he's thinking about how to make this more tactical, maybe like queen E4 and D4, something to muddy the waters here because he is much, much worse positionally. But he plays
Definitely. He plays the endgame. But now this does feel like quite a tough endgame for white to hold. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that A5 pawn just looks very tough to defend. We're seeing now G5. And how do you even play D4 at this moment?
You don't, and you don't play F4 either. That's why Aram played the move G5. He's saying there's no hurry to play rook B5 because C4, well, that's out of the question because of the D4 square. No, white is in huge trouble, and I think a lot is going to come down to that Dambasurin versus Glidura game, which we haven't looked at yet. Shall we take a look at it?
Yes.
Because Yasser Quezada Perez is also trying to mount a comeback against Theodoru. So first I'm going to take a quick visit to the Theodoru game because a knight was just blundered by Yasser in one move, but he was already lost.
Can you take us back to that moment real quick just to see how the knight was? Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, he played rook E3 to F3 panic, but he was already lost, and a resignation is going to follow momentarily, and that means a lot is going to come down to this Dambasurin game against Glidura, which is looking really nice for the Mongolian Grandmaster.
It's looking really nice. And I have to say, this could be almost, I mean, it's not going to be a sweep for SLU, but it has the potential of being it, you know? This is looking extremely strong for SLU. It's just that Aaron Makobian and Robbie Kevlishvili game, but the other games are all looking amazing for SLU. What a start for them.
Incredible. And looks like Robbie is going to lose his game, although he's fighting tooth and nail to at least pull out a draw. If Dambasurin wins this game, it's 3-0 in SLU's favor. Aram has to convert his big advantage against Robbie, but can Dambasurin convert this with 15 seconds? The big question, Anna, is can he find the right spot for the queen? I was thinking, yeah, queen C4, put the queen behind the pawn, makes a lot of sense. And of course, the bishop on A1 is trying to prevent the knight from getting active.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the question is if you can somehow get that knight active anyways. If you can push the pawn, get the knight active. I was thinking you can find maybe something like knight E1, knight D3, doing something like this. First placing the pawn in a light square.
Who's the prophet now? I think it's...
I'm not going to steal your title.
I think it's Cramling. No. Oh, and he's blundered the pawn as a Glidura. He's going to lose.
Wow.
Goodbye.
It's over now. Bishop takes, queen takes with check. Important. The king is on F8. Not the place for the king to be. Knight A6 is coming. C7. Now we have a trade of queens. This is goodbye.
Winter is coming for the black king. Queen C5, B4, B5. No perpetual check. See, that's always important. Black can't even threaten. Oh, mate in one.
Mate in one. There it is. It's over. Wow. And he just disappears immediately. Glidura just turns up the camera.
What a win for Dambasurin, and it's a 3-1 victory for SLU in the first round. That's huge. It's not decisive. It's just the first match. This could easily turn around, but big wins by Bok and Theodoru. The power duo delivers, and so does SLU.
No, this is an amazing start for SLU. I think nobody expected this first round to go this way. 3-1 to SLU. They're looking so strong, and that is because they are. SLU is an incredibly strong team, and if Webster is going to make a comeback, they're going to have to get some more wins, because this time it was only Aram Hakobian that was able to get a win. So I think also, especially Benjamin Glidora, we saw him struggle a little bit in the semifinals, loses this first game against SLU's board number 4. We need to see Glidora getting some points. It's going to be crucial for Webster, I think.
Yeah, but Dan Bustorin, he's one of those guys who's he has 2,500 FIDE, so his rating isn't necessarily eye-popping compared to Bok and Theodoru, but he can absolutely play at a 2,600 plus level. So he's a huge asset on SLU's team. Aram Hakobian has to continue with his excellent play. And Harsha Barakoti, Yasser Benjamin, all of them lost their games in round 1. Avoid tilt. Try to redeem yourselves in the second match, because you can't let this turn into a 4 or 5 point lead, because SLU's not going to give that away.
No, they're definitely not. There's a reason they're the back-to-back winners. They're an extremely strong and consistent team, which is very important to be consistent as well. And I'm just very excited to see what happens. We are going to have round number 2 starting. Well, it's already started. There we go. There we have it. The games have started, and we are ready to go.
And Mr. Theodoro with a kind of, I never know what to call knight f3 and b3, because knight f3 and g3 is king's Indian attack. That's easy. Now this is a double fianchetto by Theodoro. Careful about the pre-moves, because bishop takes c2 is always a possibility in a bullet game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially in a 2-second game or 3-second game, as you mentioned. You should have played that in those games. But yeah, here we have the start. And you know something that I've noticed, Anya? There's been a lot of fianchettos in the Collegiate Chess League in general. I wonder if it's a Blitz thing that people fianchetto more in Blitz games.
That's a fantastic observation, now that you mention it. And I think it's actually a trend. Maybe I'm talking out of some part of me that isn't the brain, but it just feels like fianchetto setups, G3, B3. I see a lot of people against me in bullet playing G3, and particularly B3 move 1, super popular. I think fianchetto setups have definitely become more popular in rapid time controls. That's undisputable given my personal experience.
Yeah, because I don't see them as much in classical chess, but now I'm seeing them in almost every game at some point. So I found that really interesting. But here we have A4 and A5 and A4 being played immediately to stop that pawn from creating any problems. And now, I mean, it's white kind of dominating the center. What do you think black should be playing for right now?
Well, I don't like the way that Harsha has positioned his pieces. Why not? Is he solid? Yes, but he's slightly worse. You can't easily play c5 or e5 because white's got this bishop on g2 that's putting long-term pressure on d5. Black doesn't have an easy plan, Anna. And Harsha, for that reason, I think tries to open up the center. I think he'll try to get his queen off of the d file and maybe put a rook on d8. So he's got to tread very carefully here to avoid kind of slipping into an even more passive position. If I'm Nico, I'm definitely recapturing with a pawn here just to keep a lot of these squares under control. But this is a Theodoro type of position, right? Slight edge. He's got easy play in the center, knight c4, rook d1. And that bishop on b2 is just waiting for its moment in the sun.
No, I think the sun is going to come very soon. It's about to shine. I think this is, like you're saying, so easy to play for white. Knight c4, rook d1. It almost plays itself. There we go. There we have the first rook. Can you even play f4, or is that something you don't really want to do?
Absolutely, you can play f4. Maybe king h1 can be thrown in at some point. The one thing to be careful about if you're Nico is not to allow a bunch of rooks to get traded on a bunch of rooks. I mean, there's only 4 of them on the board. But with every heavy piece that's traded, the influence of white's central control is diminished, and the power of black's minor pieces is increased, because black does have this pressure on the e4 pawn. And I think Nico is very seriously contemplating, if I know him, and I know him pretty well, we've played thousands of games. Anna, you know him better than I do, because f4 is on the board.
Let's go. That's making me very happy. Now we also have a poll. We asked you who you think is going to win the CCL Spring Season 2024, and 59% of you said SLU. 41% said Webster, but this is actually, not that big of a difference. I mean, there's a lot of people that think that SLU is going to win and a lot of people that think that Webster is going to win. So SLU has a slight edge, and that is also what they have on the score right now. But keep on telling us in the chats who you think is going to be the winner.
Okay, well, we've got definitely fans, no conflict of interest with anybody voting. They're voting purely based on objectively who they think the stronger team is. That's how it always works for these types of polls. But it's awesome. We're really happy that you're out to all of the fans supporting your favorite team or just spending your Sunday afternoon with us. Thank you. And the most exciting part is still ahead as we see Nico doing Nico things and bringing the pawn up to G4. Shall we have a look at, wow, Kavlashvili versus Gledura is a weird position.
Let's check it out. I like seeing weird positions. Here we have it. Look at that pawn on E6 and that pawn on G3. Wow.
Yeah. Family fork was threatened, right? Mama, Papa, sister, cousin. I mean, all of that. Four pieces would have gotten forked after knight takes G3. You don't see that every day. But Gledura saw a one-move fork threat. Who are these guys? Should we investigate them? Queen G2, very suspicious.
Yeah, I think this is very much Grandmaster level chess. I am very surprised here, Danya. But we see knight C3, the knight gets out. There's a few pieces that still need to get out for white, but I mean, that d-file is looking like it's ready to get a rook in soon. Maybe, are we going to see a bishop d2? I mean, you cannot really take back. There's some problems with knight e3 sometimes. I'm not really sure. This is a bit of a weird position. You're right.
I don't love Gledura's position. The knight from d7 is just begging to be put on c5. The reason Robbie is pausing is because he's worried about losing his bishop. But if I can just quickly show a line, I don't like rook a d8 because this gives white a chance to play c3. Instead, if he would have got knight c5, look at this, bishop f5, e takes f5, and if white plays c3, black has this lovely intermezzo, knight to b3 hitting the rook, making white pay for not developing the bishop. And if you move the rook, the bishop could very easily slide back, restricting its counterpart and keeping white super undeveloped. So that was a big chance for Robbie to get an advantage. Instead, he's played this much more conservatively, but he's going to go knight c5 on the next move, I think.
Yeah, but now the bishop can get out, although with a little bit of problems. The rook is on d8 and it's taking the d-file. So we'll see how that game goes. We can maybe also proceed to seeing how Benjamin Bok is doing versus Yasser Quesada Perez. Game number 2, I'm seeing once again a pawn on a5, very typical pawn on a5, queen on b3, knight on c4. And did this start from a Sicilian? Or what? Do you know?
This was in English, c4, e6, g3, d5. So this was some sort of weird English. And it looks like Yasser is struggling now in the opening for the second game in a row, giving up the e5 square. Benjamin could also play e2, e4. Not on move 1. I would have preferred e4 on move 1, but move 15 is a pretty good place to play e4 as well. Lots of good options here for Benji, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have been a Sicilian as e4 wasn't played. But Danya, what about starting with d4? I mean, what do you think about that? Is e4 really superior?
I think this might be your profit moment number 6. Now that you mentioned d4, it unsettles the knight on b4. It doesn't win the knight after c takes d4, but just d4, cd, knight takes d4. That's a very Bok way to play the position because then e4 is a huge threat. And the d-file opens up, allowing white to x-ray the black queen. And the problem in these types of positions, Anna, is that the queen, when it gets to c7, is often x-rayed by a rook from c1. So it's actually a very common theme in this structure that the black queen is unable to find a stable square in light of the fact that it's getting harassed by white's rooks. But Benjamin, look at the time consumption, spending a lot of time in this position. Sorry, go ahead.
He's spending a lot of time, yeah. And I was going to say that also it's the queen cannot really go to b8 because that's sometimes what you do after rook c1, you go queen b8 and you try to hide. But in these kind of positions, you can't really, especially as the rook is stuck on a8 then. So we'll see here what he does, but I really like that move d4 and then trying to play for e4.
We have to go to the Jacobian game, Dambasuren Batsuren. And I was saying before the show started, I mean, how many GMs are there in the world with Surin in their name? There's only one of them, but he's got Surin in both names. And it looks like he's coming together with another excellent game. Big advantage for Batsurin. Look at white's king. Anna, look at that open G file. Look at the weak isolated pawn on D4. Aram is close to collapsing here.
Please give me this position in my next chess game. This is everything I want and wish for. It's amazing.
All three of those.
No, you're right. Yes, please. No, but you were saying it before that Batsurin, he may be SLU's board number 4, but he is an extremely strong player and he can take down anybody. So Aramekobian is a crucial player for Webster, and if Batsurin is able to win this game, it's going to be huge for SLU. So yeah, rook comes in, rook G8, maybe doubling up rooks, threatening rook takes G2. There's so many different ideas. Knight F6. That H-pawn might be pushing at some point. You have your bishop that can get active through D5. Maybe if you're greedy, you can even take a pawn at some point. There's so many ideas. This coordinating.
Sorry, I'm very greedy. Knight F6. By the way, Anna, Knight F6, look at this. Rook takes G4, H takes G4. And the problem isn't just that you might get checkmated. If you lose the D4 pawn, you're in like a lost endgame. No, this is a disaster. And Aram is one of the trickiest players out there. Anybody who watches Chess.com Title Tuesdays knows how slippery Aram is. But this position, I hate this phrase because it's way overused but by me, but this position plays itself. It really does.
At least you didn't say the whole sentence, so that was great. But yeah, no, it does play itself. I agree with you. We'll see here. Aram is spending a lot of time. He has less than a minute.
Oh,
Does
God.
not look happy. What can
Anna,
he
this is
do?
a disaster for. This is a disaster for Webster. They're worse on all boards. Barracotti has 2 seconds in a bad position against Theodoru, and Aram has 40 seconds with nothing to do.
I've never seen SLU this strong. Webster has had such an amazing season, but this is just incredible. SLU is playing on a whole other level. He does trade rooks and then plays 95. Now the H file is open.
Oh. Queen takes D4 at an absolute minimum as possible. Can we flip to the Theodoro game just to watch the end of it? Because Nico is just destroying Barracotti on the board and on the clock. Look at this bishop on H7. White's got a pawn on H6. Ugh.
I mean, this bishop on H7, you cannot even call it a bishop. That is that cannot be called a bishop, I think. Yeah, it's literally an insult to bishops. No, this is terrible. H5 bringing the other pawn. If takes Queen G3, it's going to be a checkmate, pretty much. So, wow, tries to do something with the knight. But I mean, how do you finish this off, actually, Danya? What would you do here?
My instinct is knight to G4. There's a lot of ways to do it. Okay.
There it is. Beautiful.
It's over. I don't care about the eval. It's over. This game is over. Barracotti is doing his best. Great job, by the way, by Harsha to defend against Queen F6. But Nicolas, I couldn't decide if I want to say Nico or Nicholas. So I said Nicolas. I mean, how does he finish it, though? He's got 20 seconds.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of time. He is spending his time, and Harsh is definitely making it as hard as he can. But I was going to say, Danya, I love that you call him Nico because you're the only person here that really knows him, so you can call him that. We've, throughout the season, just called him Theodoro. So I love that we have like a friend of his.
I really opened the Theodoro to call him that. But 5 seconds for Nico, and he's lost his time advantage. Did I speak too soon? I don't think so. 1 second as Harsha plays Bishop G6. Bishop takes H5 is coming.
Rook G5.
Bishop H5.
Take it.
Bishop H5.
Bishop H5. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
King H2. It has to be over. He's trying something to take on C2, but can you not just simply take now on G6? Yes, you can.
King to H4. No more checks, and now it's White's turn. It's White's turn. Get your knife and fork ready. This one's losing.
Rook
and
G7.
his teammate
looks so
Benjamin
good.
Bok is about to win his game as well.
That's a checkmate. There it is. Done. Done for Theodoro.
Let's go to Jacobian. Batsurin.
Wow. Will Batsurin be able to pull this off? He has 22 seconds versus 18. The times are now much closer. That F2
Rook
pawn.
H8.
Yeah. I mean, do you have
Knight
Rook
F2.
H1?
Knight F2.
Do you have Rook H1?
Rook H1. Rook H1 is mate with Queen H8. What a catch, Anna. That's beautiful. Knight takes F2 also wins. He misses both of those moves and finds a third one that wins the game.
Didn't listen to any of us, but this is still completely winning, and Rook H1 is still on the table. If King takes, there's Queen H8 and then Queen H2 checkmate.
I just wanted to spotlight Anna. You saw that in like 3 seconds. That was impressive.
Thank you. That's what Puzzle Rush does to you.
F6 maybe, but Sur in 2 seconds. What does he think? Just move.
What? Move.
What's he doing? Queen D4, trade queens. Do something. Win the game.
There we have it.
Knight G3. Knight G3 is over.
He's saying, yes, Danya, I'm going to win the game. He's nodding his head. I just take the pawn, right? It's just over. Knight
oh my gosh.
Coming.
Kavlishvili flubbed a completely winning position, then a completely drawn position. That is the one little light for Webster. Gladura is going to... And Benjamin Bok, by the way, is choking as well.
There's no way that all this game turns around.
Dambasoren, he keeps trying to make this game complicated. What are you doing?
What is happening?
What are you doing? Knight e5, rook f4, and rook f8. Okay, so it's winning.
Rook f8. He's surviving.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, this is becoming way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
Knight f7, I would try. Rook f6, knight h8.
Yeah, try something like that. Knight h8. Just like you said, can you go knight, rook f8? There we go.
Oh, Jesus.
Robbie Kavlishvili draws Benjamin Gladura. Benjamin Gladura just...
The stalemate!
Oh, wow! We have to see it! It's a stalemate!
A renegade queen and Benjamin Gladura, he was winning with a simple queen trade and a winning pawn endgame. Instead, he went b3, and look at Kavlishvili. Queen d8. And eventually, totally winning position, but accidentally, what are you doing, Gladura? Queen b8. Robbie Kavlishvili is a wizard.
He is a wizard. And that was an important win for Webster, for Benjamin Gladura to get that win. But now that he doesn't, once again, SLU is just on a huge lead. They're 5.5 points.
Lost his rook.
What?
He blundered a fork.
No! That is insane! All these games! This round
blundered his rook. He blundered
books.
his rook.
In one move. In literally one move. I have no words right now.
And now Hakobian is trying to win this game. He's trying to avoid his last pawn. He might win. Hakobian might win this.
Wow. This is
King
actually
D3?
insane. Because of that A pawn, he needs that A pawn to win, obviously. Cannot get that off the board, but he goes A3, like you're saying. We see Batsurin shaking his head, not understanding how this happened.
You can't do that. I mean, a GM cannot not win that position. That's just terrible. And Dambasoren now needs to keep his composure and pull out the draw, and he will. Great job by Batsurin, not tilting, not pre-moving, saying, listen, I blundered the rook, my bad, but I'm going to avoid getting a 0, and I'm still going to be contributing to a big, big round for SLU. Could have been 3.5. It's still another 3-1 lead. This match is really getting away from Webster. But
it really is. It really is.
What on earth was A5?
I don't know what to tell you, Danya, but this was an insane match. There were so many games that turned around. I don't think we've ever screamed this much in one round of CCL, and here we are. And the best part is that we have 2 more rounds to go. St. Louis right now, 6 versus 2. It's a huge point lead. Danya, they only need 2.5 more points in the next 2 rounds to finish this off and win the match and win the season.
Honestly, the way this match is going, they might get it in the next round. And we know Webster. There's a reason that they're in the finals. Good teams don't always win smoothly. Sometimes good teams find it in themselves to calm down and come back, but they need a miracle. They need to be perfect, and they need to step up their game. Every one of them does.
They definitely do, and we're going to be seeing after the break how that goes. Now, during the break, learn how to unlock the student discount for Chess.com premium membership. But before the break, follow the Collegiate Chess League on X, Instagram, Discord, and TikTok to stay connected to all things college chess. From podcast updates to match recap reels, the CCL socials will keep you covered on your favorite players, teams, and rising stars. Now, speaking of social media, Talia Cervantes, former SLU player, is enjoying the CCL broadcast. Talia, we appreciate it. Keep sending in your photos. We have 2 more rounds to go and a CCL champion to crown. We'll be right back.
Hello, Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. So this is where the magic happened.
happens, and this is where all the magic has already happened.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. That's my World Junior.
87.
87. It's difficult to tell you how many doors that opened for me and what historical moment it was, and when I got back. The Chess Oscars, very nice. These 5 of them.
5 of them.
The Wanderers.
5, and there's one on top that is the 6th one. So since he had already got 5, they didn't want to give him the same trophy. So they gave him a trophy of a king with the world in his hand. Yeah. This is Anand's first ever mention in a newspaper.
Oh.
So this is his first ever he was mentioned.
V. Anand achieved a national record by winning all the 9 rounds to notch a maximum of 9 points in the Sub-Junior Championship.
But imagine now T.S. Ravi's daughter Rakshita is part of the Webster Anand Chess Academy. I mean, it's so beautiful to see how life comes around.
So World Rapid Chess and Mind Champion. So this was NIT gave me this nice trophy.
Why do I get the feeling that Aruna knows all the trophies and where you won better than you remember it, Anand?
Because I cleaned and read.
Because it's true. Because it's true.
Did you have a favorite? Thank you so much, Anand. I feel this is extra motivation for all the youngsters. This opportunity to actually come here and witness these achievements and spend time with you in this stunning room. Anand, Aruna, thank you so much for this.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
The way I understand it, there are 2 spells. You can freeze a 3x3 area of the board, and then you can mark a piece that you can use to jump. So we're going to start with a Sicilian here. Now I'm threatening to take his pawn, because I could freeze his knight and then potentially take the pawn, but I'm out of the freeze, so I guess... Oh, and he froze my pawn. That's very smart. Okay.
I think that's how it works.
Okay, so that means I lost a piece here.
So can I jump through this piece? I don't understand. That jump I still need to figure out. Maybe it's on the other piece. Can this piece jump? No. That is the tricky one, is the jumping thing.
So I'm down a minor piece. Wait, why did... No. Oh, James wants to jump over and attack g7, so I'm going to castle.
Can I jump through this? No.
He was attacking my pawn on g7 because the queen could have jumped over to take my pawn.
With this jump piece.
Oh, of course, he probably will play bishop h6, and then I'll have to play g6. Okay, but now he can set a jump on g6 and play queen g7 checkmate, I'm pretty sure. And I don't have my freeze, so I think if James figures it out, he mates me. Yeah, this is why I'm not good at variance. I'm good at chess. Okay, he missed it. I think he... Oh, and he froze me, so that's annoying.
Can I jump? What if I put it on his piece? I'm just curious to know. Do I bounce off of it or something? Like, what does this thing do? Oh, wait.
Okay, he gave up his queen for some reason.
Yeah.
What is he preparing to do?
Yeah.
No. He's going to take my queen. I guess we're done? Like, there's no more freezes? We're just playing chess? Okay, if we're playing chess, then I lose.
GG.
Nicely done, James.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. We have plenty of collegiate chess left to be played today and plenty of chess coming up. Stay tuned for Grigoriy Chess Classic starting March 26th and what we've all anticipated for, the FIDE candidates and the FIDE women's candidates starting April 4th. Danya, are you going to be watching the candidates? I mean, it's a given question, I feel like.
Oh, I will be watching every round. I'll be commentating a good amount. And it's going to be one of, if not the most exciting candidates in history. I've never seen, as long as I've been in the chess world, this kind of buzz around a candidates tournament. Everybody just feels this might be the year when something crazy happens. It's definitely the CCL finals when something crazy happens. It's been happening the entirety of today.
I don't even have words for those first two rounds. I never thought this would happen in the finals. What a crazy match. Every single board has been crazy in some way, and I am just so excited for round 3 and 4. We have here the players. Remember, SLU is right now leading by 6-2, so they have a big advantage. With 2 rounds to go, they only need 2.5 points in these 2 rounds to finish it off and win the whole season. So Webster definitely needs a miracle right now, and they are getting ready now, all the 8 players. Danya, could we see a finish in this next round?
I mean, the way this is going, the way just a huge shout out to Benjamin and Nicolas. Both of them have 2 out of 2 in crushing style. If they keep taking care of business, and Batsurin, he might be the one guy who's a little bit disappointed. He blundered that rook in a completely winning position against Aram. This could have been 6.5, 1.5, but they'll definitely take 6-2. Webster needs to be good, and they also need to be lucky, and they need Benjamin Gladura, their top board, to step it up and win the next 2 games. Aram Hakobian, luck is definitely on his side, though, Anna. His last game shows you, never resign. Keep playing. There's always a chance. You haven't played anybody recently who might learn a lesson in that, right? In Reykjavik?
Well, I mean, yes, I have. And I think I've been that person a lot of the games, to be honest, which I am very happy about because it is a good lesson to have. Never resign, keep fighting. And that is what these players are doing right now. We see the game starting. We have here Aram Hakobian versus Nicolas Theodorou. We're getting a d4, a King's Indian, but with that bishop on b7. Look at that. Once again, the double fianchetto bishops, they're back.
They are back. And I just wanted to ask you, Anna, just because I'm curious, you must have mentioned this in the recap video, and another big shout out commentating with tremendous energy, as always, right after a classical tournament. I know how hard that is after a grueling travel back, so I really appreciate it. But the guy you played who resigned when he had the way to save the peace in Reykjavik, did you point it out? Did he notice it after he resigned, or was it only when you came back to the room that this was noticed?
I didn't know what to do, Danya, because he resigned, and I wasn't going to tell him. Yeah, I did, obviously. So I was calculating that and what would happen. And so I was just like, why is he not playing the move? It's the only move he can do. Any other move will just lose on the spot. So why is he not doing it? And when he spent 10 minutes on it, I was like, wait, is he not seeing the move? But then when he resigned, I was like, okay, Anna, maybe we shouldn't say it immediately. But then he asked me, he said, could I have done anything? And that's, I was like, okay, I hate to break it to you, but this is probably an equal position, actually.
What was his reaction?
He said, well, but you're probably better. And I was thinking, I'm not really sure, but I was agreeing with him to make him feel better. But then someone in the public comes up actually to the board and he says, dude, you had queen e6. And I'm like, what? Why is someone in the public coming up to say this? And now everybody was telling him that he had queen e6, and I felt really bad. But yeah, he was such a nice opponent, so I do appreciate that.
Well, I'm sure you were the most considerate one of anybody watching. Especially the people watching, they don't realize the pain of a situation like that. And it's happened at every level, right? You resign. This happened with a very famous game in a pawn end game between Timon and Shurov one time. And there's nothing worse than getting it rubbed in by members of the audience. There's good expression. It's always easier from the side, right? You see everything when you're watching a game. The moment you sit in front of that board, it ain't that easy anymore. And on that note, that's really cool, Anna. And again, great recap videos. I had a lot of fun watching. And maybe your opponent is watching this game and he's just happy that he got a shout out on air. Hakobian, he's off to a good start in this game against the on fire Nico Theodorou.
Yes, and thank you very much for your very kind words, Danya. Thank you.
I mean it.
Thank you. But we are here with the CCL finals, and these finals might be finalized very soon, which is crazy.
Very good.
I'm doing like you.
Very good.
I'm learning from the past, Danya. So we have here A6 is trying to play B5, I think. A4 stopping the idea of B5. And now what I was thinking is maybe White is trying to play B4, obviously, to try to get that rook active.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder what he could be stopping with these two pawns. What could Black have been preparing with A6 there? The annoying thing for Black here is E5 is also a possibility in the long run for White that White could try to prepare. But Nicolas has positioned his minor pieces and his queen in such a way that will make this very hard to actually achieve. So it's a very kind of complex strategic battle. Hard to give a firm conclusion just yet.
Absolutely. And we see rook b8 now. Maybe Black is also trying to set up b5. Sometimes we have b5 being met by b4. So there's all kinds of different ideas, but there's going to be a big explosion on the queen side very soon. That's what I'm feeling. Maybe we can check one of the other games as well. We have, for instance, let's maybe see what Benjamin Bok is up to versus Benjamin Gledora. Gledora has been struggling a little bit so far. Webster really needs their board one to score some big points now at the end of this whole match. So let's see if he's able to do so.
Okay, so Bok had this opening from the white side in the previous game. He has it now from the black side, this kind of slightly strange English. Gledora, it's the battle of the Benjamins. Gledora is trying to get his bishop to c3. This is a very common idea, Anna, hitting the c5 pawn. You basically want to force Black into playing f6. And f6 is not as disastrous as some people might think when they see this move. But it's definitely not a move that you want to make on kind of on your own free will.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I suppose it would be much worse if there was a bishop on the a2, g8 diagonal, a light squared bishop. And now with it on g2, yeah, that's what he would wish. He wishes this was another variant of chess where you could move pieces like this. But yeah, we see now castles, and we'll see if f6 is played. Maybe some point Black will try to play something like a6 and b5 and try to get a little bit of space over there. But that's maybe hard with a rook on c1, kind of waiting for that b pawn to be pushed and being able to attack on that file. So we see knight f5 being played instead.
Yeah, Benjamin. Okay, and I guess I should refer to them by their last names because this will be slightly ambiguous. If I keep saying Benjamin, Bok is clamping down on the d4 square. You're right. A6 is a move that I would seriously consider playing, not necessarily to play b5, but to try to toss the queen out, because b5 is a threat as long as the queen is on a4. And in conjunction with this move knight f5, what this move does is discourages Gledora from moving his queen back to one of these squares, because then you could walk into knight d4 with tempo. So very skillful play by both sides, but very worrisome clock management from Bok, who's under 2 minutes now, and faces the threat of b5 and the potential collapse of his center.
And I want to reemphasize that even though Webster is down quite a lot of points right now, if they have a really strong match now, I mean, they could get close to SLU. If they get like a 3.5 versus a half, or even a 3-1, they can definitely make a comeback. So it's not over, and SLU cannot feel like the match is over yet. They need to play just as well as they did before.
Nor should they, burn their bridges in the sense that it's not 4-0 or bust. You're absolutely right. I mean, 3-1 is an okay result for Webster. When you're down by this much, you have to be realistic and you have to be objective. So, if you have a situation where you have to take a draw on one of the boards and you're Webster, you got to do it, right? Because nobody on this team is going to leave unobjective play unpunished. So let's see how Gledora handles this position. I'm also looking over at Kevlishvili versus Yasser Quezada Perez. If we could quickly flip to this game, Robbie Kevlishvili is the one man on the SLU team who has been struggling throughout the day, and he's struggling in this game as well. Some early good news, honestly, for Webster. Yasser has a fantastic position. You look at that knight, Anna.
It is a monster. I would not want to face that knight at any point. And the thing is that White doesn't really have a good way of eliminating that knight. If White at least had a light squared bishop, there would be the possibility of exchanging it. But literally the only piece that can get that knight away is either the knight that's on c6 and parked very far away, or a rook. But you don't really want to sacrifice a rook. Well, now the knight, the moment I say that, the knight is just given up. Why did he do that?
That was a terrible move by Yasser. That was, I mean, maybe he thought rook e3 traps the queen and missed rook f3. but I'm going to be brutally honest here. That was an awful move. And he not only has lost his advantage, by the way, G takes F3 there would have kept the attack on the G5 pawn. I would actually prefer White's position now after something like Queen D3 or Queen C3. Inexplicable. And this could cost them the match potentially because Jacobi and Theodoro is going to be a draw. It's all the pieces have been traded in that game.
Yeah. And I'm even liking, the rook on A1 is right now so active. It's looking towards A6. That A6 pawn is forever going to be a weakness. As long as White gets some sort of good king escape so that there's no big king threats, I feel like White is going to be pretty fine. But yeah, there's this idea of rook E1, rook E4 that you're pointing out, right?
I don't really understand why Robbie put his queen on F1. That's a really, really passive square. And I also will point out the weakness of the D5 pawn. So I think you should play rook E1 if you're Robbie, and Queen F7 here apparently is the best move. It's actually not an easy move to play because it doesn't seem like you're doing much, and White can protect the D pawn with the move C4. So Black still seems to be in the driver's seat, but I feel like Robbie is actually kind of happy to have this position given what he just had with that knight on E4.
Absolutely. Imagine this with that knight on E4. I mean, the bishop on G3 was barely doing anything. So, no, he's probably having a little bit of sight of relief. We have a result on board number 1. Like you mentioned, Aram Jacobian and Nicolas Theodoro did draw. So that game is finished. We have the other 3 games on the board. Queen F7 is played. Wow.
Queen F7 is played. That's step 1 for Yasser Quezada Perez. Essentially a must-win game for Webster on this board because I'm looking at Gladura versus Bok. It's a crazy position, and it looks like Benjamin Bok is now in the driver's seat. Amazing play by Yasser. G3, he heard me call him out with knight takes G3, and the second time that he puts a piece on G3, this is an amazing move. This is full redemption for Yasser, who now I think has excellent winning chances. You can't take the pawn because of the checkmate on H5.
It's a checkmate. The bishop on C5 is taking away that G1 square. Very sneaky bishop on C5. I mean, wow. So what does he do? I mean, that pawn on G3 is going to be an amazing pawn to have there the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm afraid you have to go H3 at some point, probably now. And Black could even take control of the F file with bishop to F2. So another byproduct of this pawn is that you get this lovely outpost on F2 for your bishop, which will ensure that White's king is weak for the remainder of the game. So Robbie is trying to avoid having to play H3, and that's actually an excellent defensive idea. Queen to D1, threatening H takes G3 and forcing Yasser to commit either to play G takes H2 or maybe to play bishop F2, but that's another decision which is going to take some time off his clock.
It definitely is. And I also just want to point out the accuracies that we have over here. Both players are playing so well. Yasser right now in the driver's seat with 95% accuracy. So been a fantastic game, and he does make the decision pretty quickly, actually. Bishop F2.
Great move. Bishop F2 and bishop takes G3 and potentially a queen trade. Maybe not right now because there is a fork on E7. But what does Robbie do? I mean, he's almost out of moves, but look at how skillfully he's defending this position. Knight back to D4, trying to get the knight onto a better outpost. And I got to flip to Benjamin Gladura. He has just blundered a rook, and Benjamin Bok is going to win.
Wow.
One move blunder by Gladura.
Yep. No,
Look
this
at
is a huge win. Yep.
95, takes, boom, boom, boom.
Boom, resignation. That's the final boom. Maybe not yet. He shouldn't resign. I mean, he should obviously keep going at this point. You really need to, especially at this point in the match. You can't resign these games. You can't tilt. You have to push all the way until the end. But yeah, that is a huge blunder that they just cannot afford right now.
What is he doing? Bok has blundered back.
What?
Bok has blundered the pawn on B4, and he's allowed rook to E4. And what is happening with the player's technique? I mean, this is just crazy. Suddenly, White has drawing chances. It's still lost. It's still lost, or is it? F4 maybe?
F3, the king comes up. I guess he's trying to create a pathway.
In a time scramble, Anna, I feel like Black should be able to squeeze out a win, but Benjamin Bok might give this away. This could have been the match right here.
This could literally have finished the match pretty much. E6.
Pretty much.
Yep. Just trying to get those pawns changed. Can you bring it up? King F1 instead? 4 seconds. Wow.
I mean, you never see this from Bok. This guy is so consistent. He's still torturing him. But Glidura has a fortress now. It should be a draw.
Wow, what a turn! It was just a full-on material for Benjamin, and now this is just
unreal.
We've seen
he's
so
going to
many
try.
rook problems.
It's crazy. I mean, he's going to try to torture Glidura for a while, maybe trade the rook. Even with a rook trade, it doesn't actually do anything. It's a dead draw.
Because of the pawns, right? You can't do anything. You can't win with that pawn. And now you're getting traded.
Exactly. Yes.
That is it.
Kevlishvili, though. Wait, we got to go to Robbie Kevlishvili. He's won a piece. He's going to win his game.
Wow. Jasper shaking his head, not understanding how this is happening. Wow, where did that piece come from?
How does Black have no pieces left? Wait a second, I gotta rewind because this game is over.
Yeah.
We don't have to watch the remainder. Look at this. Somehow Robbie Kevlishvili got his queen activated. And Yasser literally blundering in one move of the bishop. Nerves.
Because King G3 doesn't work, because there's Queen of3 checkmate. That is exactly what nerves are. Wow. Look at that checkmate. Wow.
It's over. No, is it over? No, it's not over because Dambasurin has won. Oh, sorry. I'm looking. Yeah, Dambasurin has won.
He has. What happened in that game? We didn't see the end.
The match is over, I think. Dambasurin crushes Harsha Burakoti. Oh my God. Harsha Burakoti also blundering mate. And is that the match?
Yeah, it is. Daniel, we have a winner before round 4. It's over. The match is officially over. St. Louis is the winner of the 2024 Collegiate Chess League spring season. I'm going to say the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Even if Benjamin loses this game with Black, which is physically impossible, as he tries to torture Glidura in a drawn position. This is a theoretical draw, by the way. Glidura has the bishop in the right corner, so Benjamin can might as well just take the draw, but I have no words. I have no words for how much of a blowout we just observed.
This is actually crazy. This is not the Webster team we've seen throughout the season, and I think it's what you're saying. It's a lot of nerves coming into this match. You know, it's the first time participating in the Collegiate Chess League. They really wanted to prove themselves. They're playing against a very consistent SLU who have so much practice in this tournament, and this is what's happening. And I think nerves are a big reason for it.
Nerves are a huge reason for it, and honestly, form, right? Form is so important. The reason you get a blowout in a match like this is just because everybody on SLU was in killer form. Benjamin Bok, Nicolas Theodorou, they did their duty. They took care of business. And Dambasur, and I just want to shout him out. He had that frustrating game against Hakobian. But other than that, the win in the last round against Harsha Burakoti, the win in the first round, which really set the tone against Benjamin Glidura, Webster's top seed, honestly, I think that was a huge component part of their blowout win is Dambasur, and just want to shout him out. What a performance all across the board.
Absolutely. No, all players at SLU have been so consistent, and it's just been so impressive to watch, to be honest. They've all done what they had to do. They've all been amazing, and yeah, big shout out, I mean, to Batsurin, but also to everybody else. They've done so well. Kevlishvili as well, you know, fighting in that worst position and then being able to turn the game around. Just amazing. And Bok doing his Bok things. He might not win this game, but and then also Theodorou has just played so well. So yeah, big shout out to everybody in the SLU team. They really deserve to win this season.
Everybody contributed, and you don't win a team tournament without everybody contributing throughout the season and throughout the finals. Kevlishvili, yeah, he wasn't in the best form, but he fought through it. He found that incredible stalemate draw against Glidura. And in the last round, he delivered a blow to Webster's chances by swindling a win out of what at one point looked like a dead loss position against Yasser Quezada Perez. A frustrating end to the season for one of the most storied college teams, college chess programs in history. But ultimately, there might be a new king in town, at least for the next season.
Absolutely. And I think we also can see here, you know, SLU, they're the back-to-back winners. They're going to win 3 times in a row. Isn't that crazy, Tanya?
I'm speechless. I mean, this was not even close. And it's a draw by a 50 move rule.
Yeah, it is.
Apparently we are playing the final round.
Yes.
Okay.
There we have it, the Division 1 champions, the winners of the Spring 2024 Collegiate Chess League. Wow, what a performance. I don't even know what to say, but there we have them. We have some confetti. We don't have balloons, but they're probably going to have balloons and celebrate a bit after this. But a big shout out to everybody in the St. Louis University team. What a fantastic season they've done. What a fantastic match they've done today. And wow, they're just so strong. But you want to know something, Danya? Something that's maybe a little bit sad.
Go on.
That this is actually Benjamin Bok's finals. So, you know, it's beautiful in the sense that he gets to win his final season, but it is a little bit bittersweet, obviously, also for the SLU team that it's going to be his final season. He confirmed that to us in our last interview. So there we go. St. Louis 9 points versus Webster 3, and we're going to be seeing round 4 now.
Okay, we're going to be seeing round 4. Obviously, it's vacation time, I think, for SLU. They get to play whatever they want. They have the match in the pocket, but the final round will be played just to complete the match. It is the finals after all, and this is the best time for SLU because the match is in the pocket. I've really only experienced this, 1 or 2 times. It's like when you secure the Grandmaster norm before the last round, which I actually have never done, just kidding. I would imagine that it feels good because you've won. You can now play for fun, you can play for beauty, and you can play for the fans. And what better way is there of playing a final match?
There's no better way. This is almost like a celebration in itself for them, that they get to enjoy this. So definitely very tough for Webster. They're not looking happy, obviously, in the cameras. Do want to give them a big shout out as well. They've had a fantastic season, even though today St. Louis has just been winning by a lot of points. But yeah, do you think we're going to be seeing a little bit of weirder games now, Danya, or how is this going to change the chess?
I could see this going several different ways. I could see SLU messing around and playing, A4 on move 1. They're going to do what's fun for them. Like if I was in SLU shoes, I'm not a chess troll. I'm not a big fan of making terrible moves. Like playing the Bon Cloud, right? It's fun for one move, and then you're like, wait a second, I'm lost for the entire game. So I would just play normal openings. If you don't feel like the game is fun, you can offer a draw. I could also see some players taking a draw, and we shouldn't blame them if they do that. We really should not, because it's hard to motivate yourself from both sides of the coin. Whether you're the winning team or the losing team, they also are tired, right? This is a very exhausting match. This is a tough format. They've burned a lot of mental energy, so we'll see how this goes.
So can I ask you, Danya, you're throwing some hate on the Bon Cloud. What are your opinions on the cow opening now that it's become an official opening on Chess.com?
I think it's cool that it has a name. When you say what are my opinions, I feel like I want to avoid digging myself into a hole here. What are my opinions on its objective quality or on its fun value?
I mean, okay, so the objective quality, obviously it's not the best way to start with the white pieces. I mean, that we all know, but do you think that it's playable at lower levels? Maybe we can put that. Do you think it's a playable opening?
I think it's absolutely playable. I think most openings are playable at a lower level. I think what's good about it is that it's a system opening, and especially for beginners, that's why the London system is often recommended, because it's nice to have an opening where you basically play the same moves to get a predictable position, because from that predictable position, you can then start learning. You can kind of narrow down your learning process and make it less overwhelming because you're not facing different positions every game. So that is the benefit of playing an opening like that. Definitely playable, no question about it. And it's, entering the mainstream.
I appreciate your very polite answer. I mean, I know it's hard for a grandmaster. I know it's hard for a grandmaster to say good things about it, but I appreciate how kind you are with that. So that is great. Okay, we're seeing here in this. Sorry for throwing you a bit under the bus there, but we're seeing.
You shouldn't throw me under the bus at all. I think it's really cool. I think and I truly believe this. You have to make chess approachable. You have to make chess fun. And you have to add things. It's not all about, I'm going to sit down and learn Chessable for 7 hours or 7 years. Okay, there's other components to learning and to having fun. And legalizing fun in chess is a very important process. And you have contributed Obviously not with the cow, but just with your presence and your channel to making chess fun and approachable. And that's incredibly important and valuable.
Thank you, Danya. And so have you. And that is, I think, ultimately the goal of all of us. Try to make, chess as open for everyone so that everyone can enjoy it. So I don't know how much these players are enjoying it right now, at least not maybe the Webster team. But we saw a quick draw on game number 2 between Aaron Makovian and Benjamin Bok. So they are done now, and we have the other 3 games that are ongoing with this one between Theodoro and Glidura. They're playing, a proper game here.
Wait a second. I got to check out. They're playing Theodoro is semi-trolling. He's playing quite badly in the opening. Wait a second. Did we get a grob or something?
Let's see. What happened?
It's a weird London system by Harsh Barakoti. G4, G5. Okay, he's tilted. Both of them are tilted. I think. Yeah, no, absolutely. And now, this looks like a crazy position. This, I have to say, is kind of what fun chess looks at GM level. It's not like we get A4, Rook A3. No, we just get these sort of very open and risk-taking positions. Yeah, I don't know about E5, though, because knight takes E4, pawn takes E4, and simply the other knight drops back to D2. And
yeah,
I don't really understand why Robbie gave away the bishop like this.
No. It almost looks like Robbie's a bit tilted, but he should be very happy, right?
Yeah, I think he's tilted could mean also just like he's kind of not trying too hard, and that's okay, and just having fun. And in the spirit of having fun, take and go C5. Right? If you're playing this kind of chess, you might as well just start sacking everything and go for it. Having said Peter, you need to say Paul. So if Robbie doesn't go C5, I'm going to be mad at him. Okay, I'm not.
There we go. Now you can be happy with him. He's done his job. Amazing. How's it going between Jasser and Batsurin? What happened in that game?
Okay, this is the most conventional, normal game of the ones that we have, other than Bok.
Yeah, so let's see, knight e4. Okay, yeah, this is looking very normal so far. Maybe we'll see like a knight d2. Maybe we'll see a rook d1, knight d6. This is looking quite comfortable though, but the engine is slightly favored for black. Why would you say that is?
I think it has to do with 2 things. First of all, black has the bishop pair, which is always nice in a relatively open position. The second thing is that this e5 pawn, and there was another game earlier where I mentioned the same thing. It's both a strength and a weakness. Like, yes, it clamps down on the d6 and f6 squares. This is where you really are missing a dark squared bishop if you're white. On the other hand, it's also an eminently attackable target. Black can drop the queen back to c7, and there's always tactics with like knight takes e5 that are up in the air. It doesn't work right now because of knight takes b7. I think Batsurin's going to take and go rook to d8, and the battle is going to rage around that d6 pawn.
Yeah, is it a weakness? Is it a strength? That is always the question with the pawn on d6, I feel like. And a lot of times, even though it looks like a strength, it might actually very much be a weakness that just ends up being lost. So you really have to plan when you get your pawn to d6. And there we have rook d8, targeting the pawn. And it's looking pretty weak to me right now.
Yeah, it is looking pretty weak, especially if black tries to double rooks on the d file, which I think is quite a natural plan. Rook d7. We also could see a move like c4 by Dan Batsurin to get his queen up to c5 and attack the pawn that way. Actually, my move in a blitz game would probably be c4.
Yeah, c4. I like that. And then queen c5. I really like that. So is there anything crazy happening? Actually, let's take a look at Barat Zakati versus Kevlishvili, because it looks like Robbie's position is kind of falling apart a little bit right now.
Yeah, this was some highway robbery by white. He's stolen all of black's pawns. And
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Where are the black pawns? They've disappeared. They've actually been robbed. Wow.
He's down. I actually thought, that he's down like 3 or 4 pawns because of white's queenside superiority, but it's actually only 2. Only 2. For a GM, 2 pawns up for no compensation is, something you only dream about. Queen g5, maybe try to get the queens off the board.
I mean, you have to do something. Otherwise, even f5 at some point could become scary. I guess f5, there's queen g5 now, but you always have to look for that.
Yeah. I like those tricks where you get forked, but then both pieces contribute to get themselves out of it. It's pretty instructive.
It is instructive, and it's the best feeling. It's terrible getting forked when you can't do that and you just lose a piece. But that was not the case. The queen went back. Now we have knight d6.
Uh-oh, here comes Kalishvili.
Here he comes, f4. He's going to try to get something on the king side.
Ooh. Actually, it is scary. I'm not even lying. Queen g5, f3, bishop on e5. This is the thing with opposite colored bishops, right? You can get attacked.
If he manages to rob this game from Harsha, that would be insane. I would say that would be crazy.
It's looking not totally unlikely. I mean, f takes e3, f takes e3, knight g3. The problem is that white not only has a check on c4, but can also just take the rook on f8 with check. I mean, probably the best thing to do is to take twice on d6, but Robbie's not going to do that in a low stakes game. He's going to go for it all with queen h4.
There it is.
The
moment you say it.
And lose.
Oh, yeah. There it is as well. You are absolutely right, Danya. You know exactly what they're thinking. Queen f6. Okay. I mean, this bishop, can it not come up at some point as well? Bishop, I mean, maybe not now, bishop d5, but white has so many pieces. Knight e4, threatening the queen. Are you going to go knight g5, knight e6? What is going on here? There's no counterplay for black, it feels like. Wait, are you still here, Danya? Did I lose you? All right, I'm not sure. Oh, he disappeared. We lost Danya, everybody. Well, I suppose it's just me. I'm not exactly sure what happened. But the rooks are getting traded off. There's rook d1. And now probably we're just going to get into, I mean, not an endgame, but white is just going to be 2 pawns up. And this should be quite easy for Harsha to finish. So takes and takes. Maybe black will try to get some sort of action on this diagonal. But as long as the knight stays here and the bishop stays on... Okay, the moment that I'm saying this, things are turning around. I almost need Danya here soon to tell me what exactly is going on. But what is happening here? King g7? Is there any way you can play something like bishop b8 and queen c7? No, he goes for the pawn. Now white is just 1 pawn up, which is quite not that much. Yeah, this would actually be crazy for Harsha if he manages to not win this. That's definitely not the finish that he wants. So I think we're getting Danya back here very soon. Bishop takes b2. Hello, Danya. You're back. We missed you.
Yeah, I missed you. I'm honestly, my internet is working perfectly. I got kicked out twice, but I think I'm back in now. I missed the match. I missed the most exciting moments, Anna.
No, you did not. Now here they come. Here the most exciting moments are. No, Danya, I mean, 1 pawn was lost when you were gone. All of a sudden, white was just 1 pawn up, and I thought, what is happening? Are we going to see a draw now? What is happening?
Man,
but now you're back.
How unprofessional of me to miss the deciding moments of this match.
The very decisive moments. So c6. Okay, is someone stopping this pawn or not?
Man, bishop, this is typical Robbie. Bishop e5, what a devilish little move. Queen a1, I'm threatening the pawn on a2. I just want to take the pawn.
Yeah, he's very tricky. No, but there's no way that happens. If we see bishop e5, I am literally like leaving, I feel like, no.
Hey, I mean, we have seen all sorts of things this match. Now, if you're Harsha, how do you stop it though? What's the win? I think it's probably, queen f8, bishop g7. Oh, wait a second, where's the win? Is it no?
I mean, this is a little bit scary. Can you go?
Black is threatening to win the game.
What about queen f8, queen f1?
Queen f8, queen f1. Oh, and he makes the draw. Queen f8, queen f1. Anna, you're absolutely right. That was a winning idea, as was h4, I think.
He just makes the draw.
And Theodora is also gonna, I think, win his game against Gladura. So SLU is actually likely to win this round.
Wow, that is actually crazy. They're going to be winning by such a big margin. I think, yeah, for Harsha, it would have been really nice to win that, at least to feel good at the end of the match somehow, even after losing. But yeah, here we have this rook endgame, and white is just a bishop up.
Yeah, white is a bishop up, but it's actually not. And h4 puts the pawn on a dark square, allowing black potentially to trade these pawns off, making it difficult for white to break through. It should be winning, but it's never actually that easy to win these types of positions, especially because, Anna, the pawns on the other side of the board are not easy to attack.
No, absolutely no. So right now, I mean, I had a similar position. Do you see the win?
Yeah, sorry, go on. I'm curious. You had a similar position in Reykjavik?
Yeah, I did, but I had a knight and my opponent had 2 pawns. But the thing was that one of those pawns was a pass pawn, and well, I felt this, being a piece up, but the opponent has a lot of pawns, so I know the struggle that they're in. But here we have it, very nice. The king has to go to h7, and then king takes g5, and that's winning.
And Dambasurin is busy taking care of business. If Dambasurin wins this game, that means he will have 3.5 out of 4. Theodoru has 3.5 out of 4, and I'm just stunned at these performances. Queen g4, by the way, there by Yasser, saving the queen. But he's still losing. Important. He's down the pawn. He's getting crushed in the center. Knight d3, rook d3, all sorts of things. Dambasurin just playing with his food at this point.
This is just crazy. I have never seen SLU this strong, but this just shows why they're winning this season and why they so deservedly are able to do so. King is up on g6, g4, no problem. I mean, but this is just so nice for black. This is incredibly nice. The rooks are so strong.
But okay, yes, very interesting position. Again, I guess knight g3, white is trying to get the knight around to f5 and set up, no joke, set up some mates with rook a7, rook g7. And Dambasurin, his one Achilles heel has been time pressure. It's not going to reveal itself this game, though. He's doing a great job. Knight e6 and knight f4 is going to end the game.
I mean, I only see a flag being able to stop Dambasurin right now. Rook a6, I mean, they only have 2 seconds. Not much time.
Knight f4.
Knight f4. Okay, rook d1, trying to trade rooks. And then knight f4.
And rook e1 wins the queen. Or rook d1, that is.
E1. That is the end of the game.
Unreal. Another 3-1 win. Did they win 3-1 every single round?
I'm not sure, but they did win by a lot every single round. That is all that I know. What a finish. And I feel like, they just deserve a big round of applause, St. Louis. What an amazing match they've played. So strong. And yeah, must really hurt for Webster, obviously. Webster has also played really well throughout the season, but today St. Louis was the stronger team. And what a performance,
Oh
Danya.
my gosh. And I have 2 crazy things to tell you. The first is that they did win 3-1. All 4 rounds were 3-1. The second is that they lost, to my understanding, 1 game the entire match. And that was in the first round. Kevlishvili lost to Hakobian. They did not lose a single game in the final 3 matches. That tells you basically all that you need to know about this blowout.
That is unreal. And like you said, I think this just shows how strong St. Louis has been throughout the season, and especially today. This is just, these are the winners. These are the Collegiate Chess League winners. And we can see here the path that they have taken to come to this point. And I think, the closest that we saw St. Louis to being almost able to not win was when they played Missouri in the semifinals. That was definitely a nail biter. Seemed like Missouri had the lead, seemed like they had big chances of winning, but St. Louis, just being as consistent as they are, managed to win that. And now today as well. Danya, we're going to be interviewing a player that is probably very happy right now, and that is Benjamin Bok, right after a very short break. So don't go anywhere. We will be back very soon with an interview.
I've been a member since 1986, nearly 40 years. It's just a beautiful building, very nice staff, lovely place. My name is Peter Lee. I am 79, 80 later this year. I won the British Chess Championship when I was 21. I played in the England team for about 10 years.
My name's Padana and I'm aged 8. My rating's around 1800 and I won the World Under-8 Girls Rapid and Blitz Championships.
Ladies are allowed in now, but they used not to be here till 20 years ago. Would you like to see a bit of the club, Padana? In theory, no one under 14 should go in the club. So I've always been into problem solving, everything I do. I play bridge as well, I do crosswords, I do number games, I'm a medical statistician. I call myself a problem solver.
I started liking the pieces and I wanted to take them and keep them, so then my dad said I could play chess instead.
When I gave up when I was about 31, 2, I was 2,390. And I've only played one graded game since then. What did you say your rating was? 1900?
1800.
18. Even if you're not ahead of me yet, you'll be ahead of me in 2 or 3 years' time. Sure. Well, she played a lot of very sensible moves. Did you think you were winning at one stage?
Maybe slightly better.
Maybe slightly better, yeah, you probably were.
I'd classify trading as a game, really, that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. We have our winners, the St. Louis University. They are the spring season 2024 winners. Big congratulations. And we are joined right now by the one and only Grandmaster Benjamin Bok, who's been leading their team into winning this whole season. Congratulations, Benjamin. You must be feeling amazing. What a match. Can I just start off by saying or asking you, how did you win by such a big margin? What did St. Louis University do differently today?
Hello, Anna. Hello, Danya. Thanks for having me. Thanks. It's amazing to win another championship, and especially by such a big margin. I honestly have no idea. I mean, I thought that today's match was going to be very, very tough. I thought that we were a slight favorite, but not at all by such a big margin. I guess Botsurin, he really stepped up his game, and that made all the difference. I mean, yesterday he was struggling a little bit against Mizzou, but today he scored 3.5 out of 4, so that's absolutely fantastic. And it's also great to see Nico bring his A game in the finals. And our worst performing player was Robbie with 50%. So your chances to win are pretty good if that's the case. So everyone just did fantastic and brought their A game. So I did not expect it all to win by such a dominant score, but happy we did.
Benjamin, what is your proudest game? Was there a particular game, maybe it was the first one, that kind of told you, yeah, I'm in pretty good form today, I can really sweep the field?
Yeah, I guess the first game is always a little bit nervy. You know, you have the butterflies before the first game. And I felt pretty good after the first one, because I knew I was going to have black against Harsha, probably not an easy pairing. But I felt like I played a pretty good game, up on time, good position, and managed to win pretty smoothly. So, yeah, that definitely gave me some confidence for the other games, and then I won another one. So, and then I checked the score, and I saw we were already up 6-2, and obviously our chances to win are very good at that point.
Yeah, you were mentioning that everyone in the team today played some fantastic chess, and do you think that one of the reasons for that was your close match against Mizzou yesterday in the semifinals? Did that match make you feel like you really need to bring the A game today?
Yeah, I guess that's a very good point. Yeah, I guess definitely yesterday's match was very close against Mizzou. Actually, it should have gone to overtime because, like I said, I lost that game, and then I saw Dumbarsurin was losing. I come back, and he had won. So I guess, perhaps, maybe for Dumbarsurin, that was a nice match to warm up and really bring his A game today. I guess the semifinals against Mizzou definitely helped.
Benjamin, obviously, I was just in St. Louis experiencing the great atmosphere. Could you tell us a little bit about the kind of relationship between, and not a loaded question, I promise, between the two universities? Is there kind of an active rivalry, or are you mostly friendly off of the CCL finals and off the board? What's the atmosphere like, and is there any kind of interaction between the chess playing universities in St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, off the board, we're pretty friendly. There's no bad relationship or anything. But of course, Webster is, I don't know if they are the champion, the record winner of the championship. So they're definitely the team to beat. And I guess for them, that's us. So it's always more special to beat them. I cannot deny that. So it's nice to beat them today. I'd say that's pretty much how it is. Yeah, we're friendly off the board, but on the board, of course, we want to win the matches.
Mm-hmm. Benjamin, this is a little bit more of a personal question maybe, but yesterday you mentioned that this is going to be your final CCL season as you're graduating college. How does it feel for you to win your final season in the CCL?
It feels great. I mean, like I said, this will probably be my last season playing for St. Louis University. And throughout the years, we've won a lot of championships. For me, of course, winning the CCL 3 seasons in a row is great. But for me, really winning the Final Four and the Pan Ams in 2022 probably was the most special moment. Because, winning the Final Four is so incredibly difficult. And actually that year, we beat Webster by half a point. And that was truly a special moment of my collegiate chess career.
Mm-hmm. Benjamin, we have one more question from the chat. How does it feel to finish out your college career with an unheard of Bok to Bok win? And can you just sort of recap your overall chess experience while in college? How has it been kind of combining keeping your very, very high level with a very, very difficult academic schedule?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's not easy, and it just requires a lot of hard work, both, in chess and academically. But yeah, like I said, it's great to win the Collegiate Chess League again. And yeah, overall, I mean, yeah, I mentioned the wins we had earlier in the Final Four and the Panams. Those were great. But also, I remember in 2021 we won a World Online Rapid Championship. That was also very special. So, I mean, of course, it would have been great to win more, but I feel like we kind of won almost everything there was to win. So I'm not leaving with any regrets.
Benjamin, we have one final thing before we let you go. We have a picture to show, and this is of someone that I think you might know. We have here the one and only Hunter. I saw him on your stream yesterday.
Yeah, Hunter is the absolute GOAT. I mean, big shout out to him for doing the coverage. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, he's been doing a great job, keeping the chat entertained and bringing some great commentary. So again, big shout out to Hunter. And if you're watching, please make sure to follow him. He's been doing a fantastic job, so follow is the least you all could do for him.
And what's the deal with the octopus? Do you know, Benjamin?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Hunter. But he is great. He's great. I met Hunter at TwitchCon, and he's been a fantastic host for my tournaments lately.
All right, that's amazing. Well, big congratulations once again, Benjamin Bok. Go and celebrate your win. And thank you so much for joining us for the interview.
Thank you, Benjamin. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Anya. Thanks, Anna and Danya.
Anya.
Anya.
The combination. Well, here we have the full bracket. Here we can see the beautiful journey that St. Louis University has taken throughout the season. Danya, what a season it's been, and what a final match it has been. I couldn't have asked for a more exciting match.
Honestly, this was incredible. Both the third place match. Huge shout out to Mizzou. Great college program coached by Christian Chirilla. But of course, the team of the day is St. Louis University. So many great performances today. So many great individual performances. But with team events, Anna, we know that the whole is bigger and better than the sum of its parts. And we saw that on full display once again today. It's been a super exciting day of chess. And once again, I'm just very honored to commentate it with you, and to be late to the party, but not too late to still catch the most fun day of the CCL. A huge shout out to the CCL Commissioner, Joe Bruin, who does such a great job of coordinating everything. CCL is very well run. Everything's on time. And that is all credit to Joe and everybody who makes this run so smoothly.
Absolutely. It's been an honor for me to be able to host this season CCL, and I've had Joe Broom by my side almost the whole season. Big shout out to Joe. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you so much for being such a great commissioner. Thank you to everybody that makes this happen. Thank you also so much to SIG. And thank you, Danya, for joining me at the very last end of this. It has been a pleasure commentating with you this final round. You joined the best party you could join. And yeah, I didn't know that this party was going to be like this. I mean, that round number 3, I think it was just incredible. Round 2, it was actually. So what a fantastic season it has been. Thank you so much to all the viewers, to all the moderators, everybody that's been, making this and helping this happen, everybody that's been watching throughout the season. It's been a pleasure for me to be here almost every Saturday. Cannot believe this. We've been ongoing for a long time, but I'm just happy that I've been able to do this, and that you all have joined me in this journey. So I think with this, wow, Danya, are we going to sign off for the last time this season? I think we are.
I'm sad to say, but I think we are. Anna, this was so much fun, and we won't be signing off for too long because, well, the candidates is coming up, and there is so much action that will be happening on the chessboard, on and off the chessboard in the next few months. And it's just a great time to be a chess fan. It's a great time to be a commentator, but huge shout out to you, Anna. You're always bringing the energy and the professionalism, even after such a long tournament. So I really appreciate this. It's an awesome way to spend a Sunday morning. And I look forward to more action in the candidates.
Me too. Thank you very much for your kind words, Danya. It's been, I get energy from talking with you. So thank you so much once again, Danya. Thank you so much, every viewer. And thank you so much, Collegiate Chess League. We'll see you very soon. Keep on playing chess. Like Danya said, it's a great time to be a chess player. Goodbye.